Hello, this is CRP speaking to you live on Sunday, June 27th, 2021. I'm here in very hot and rather sunny Kharkiv, Ukraine. And God damn, it's been hot today. It's been unbelievably hot. Not pleasant. Between the heat and the cold, I far prefer the cold. Because, see, there is no limit to how many layers of warm clothes you can put on. But there's a limit to how many clothes you can take off. You know what I'm saying? It gets to a point where the heat is just unbearable. But the cold, I can handle it. So there you go. I don't know what that means, but whatever. So, oh, let me check the thing. As usual, I appreciate if you all could give me a +1 to make sure that you all can hear me properly and that everything is copacetic insofar as the audio and video is concerned. And as usual, you know, I'm self-producing this. So sometimes there's going to be a lull in this broadcast because I'm going to be looking at the questions and trying to figure out what's a good question and what I can skip over and whatnot. And so, you know, that's the breaks. Well, because today I'm doing an AMA. Now, somebody pointed out that I was getting lazy. Okay, I beg to differ, but the last time I did an AMA was back in March. And March 28th, I do believe, because I checked it up before I decided to do this one. And it was enough time. It's been exactly 3 months since that last AMA that I figure, yeah, why not? And to tell you the truth, the part that I enjoy the most of these broadcasts is when I'm interacting with you guys, with the audience. Because one of the things that you don't realize is that online influencers, quote unquote, and I suppose I'm an influencer. I mean, I have more than 6 figures insofar as subscriber count is concerned, and I can consistently make over more than 50,000 views per day. So that makes me an influencer, whether I like it or not. I find it a little bit cringe to call yourself an influencer. It's certainly not something that I'd go around saying, hey, baby, I'm an influencer. I mean, no, that's stupid, right? But it's the truth. And the thing that people don't realize, and I think I'll do a video about this to tell you the truth, is that when you're an influencer, an online personality, call it what you will, you have very little contact with people. You'd be very surprised. You say, well, you have like 60,000 people who watched your videos. Yeah, they watched my videos, but they didn't interact with me. They interacted with the video. The video is out there. I mean, imagine, you know, some video that you made with your family or friends or whoever that you posted on YouTube, say, just for the sake of argument. And it was something that happened that was kind of funny. And all of a sudden, unbeknownst to you, the video goes viral and, you know, 2 million people see it. But you don't interact with any of those people. They interacted with the video that you had on your channel. And you probably didn't even realize it was happening until, you know, maybe days or weeks or months later, you happen to look at your channel and say, oh my God, look at all these people who watch this fucking thing, right? Who would have thunk it? But you didn't interact with any of those people. YouTube influencer or YouTube personality or content creator, call them what you will, you interact with very few people. And you devote a lot of time to the online stuff that you put out. But the amount of interaction, of social interaction, is very, very little. And the thing is, see, also too, is that inevitably, a lot of the people who try to get in touch with you, who gravitate towards you, some of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, they're trying to get something from you, or they are kind of like they want to be your sycophant. And you ask any YouTuber who's moderately successful, and they'll tell you that there's all kinds of people who show up out of the woodwork who want to be your friend and who will do whatever you tell them to do, but they're not friends. They're just people you happen to know. Okay? Hang on. I got a notification from Uber Eats. I have no idea how this happened because I haven't used Uber Eats in months. But anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is that, see, the YouTube interaction, or the amount of time that I put into YouTube, I get very little, if any, kind of interaction with my audience. And that's why I value the Q&A we have at the end of every webinar so much. And a lot of times I've done them, even though I've been like really wiped out, but I've gone on quite a bit because I need that interaction. And so, yeah, It's like that. And so for me doing an AMA is just like something like I really look forward to. And I had some ideas in my notebook, and none of the ideas were really hitting the mark. And like, for instance, there were some things that I thought, man, this would be great to talk about, but I don't want to devote a whole webinar to it. Like, for instance, the John McAfee thing. Some people have asked, what I think of John McAfee's suicide, or alleged suicide, as the case may be. I have some thoughts on it. And I'm happy to give them to you, but like, you're doing a whole webinar on it would have been absurd. A lot of other little things have happened that, again, doing a whole webinar, a 2-hour or 90-minute presentation would have been just absurd. But, to do a quick question and answer about that specific topic, and then move on to other topics like that you can talk about and dispatch in 5-10 minutes. Sure, why not? And so that's why I figured that an AMA would be like a good thing to do. And what I'll do is I'll do it every 3 months, like nice and steady, yeah. And let me pull up, hang on just a second here. I'm going to pull down my face because you guys don't need to see me, because you guys know what I look like. And I don't look my best today. It's too fucking hot to wear the fucking cap. And hang on. Please. Oh, that's interesting. If I do that, oh, it goes black. Oh, that's very interesting. I did not know that. No, not this one. There we go. Yes. There were a bunch of questions that were asked, and I'm going to bring them up, and I'm going to answer them piece by piece, because I figured that would be more interesting. By the way, you guys hear me all properly, right? Steve asks, do you have air conditioning in your studio? Yes, I do, and I don't really like it because right now I'm doing some woodworking stuff, and so it smells of glue and formaldehyde, and so in order to have the AC be effective, I'd have to shut all the windows, and I don't really want to do that with the fumes. The glue is okay; it's the formaldehyde that makes me a little bit, a little creeped out, and so that's why I prefer to open the windows and try to catch a breeze as opposed to have the AC on. Anyway, hang on just a second. And the AC isn't that good in this office, to tell you the truth. Neither the AC or the heating is particularly good. The unit the unit itself is not very good. Hang on a second. Let me figure this out. I want to hide this. I want to share. Okay, I'm going to see if this works. There you see me again. Hang on a second. Oh, shit. Hang on. There we go. This is the hang on. Wait, what's going on here? Hang on. There we go. Hang on. Sorry about this. I hope that you guys are seeing what I am hoping that you are seeing is the whatchamacallit. I asked here today's weekly webinar, and a surprisingly large number of you guys put like a whole bunch of questions here. So I figured that I'll just go through them piece by piece, and you guys, if you're there, oh, hang on a second. If you're there, let me put the StreamYard link so you can join me, and I'm posting it right now. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Now I'll go through the questions real quick. Porphy Rogan said, AMA again, lazy approach, Gonzalo. Find an interesting topic, put on a vote if you want to, and do it. No, Porphy Rogan, I understand your point of view, but I figure, it was 3 months since the last one, so I think it's plenty of time. And like I said, what was going on in my mind was that I I was just not sparking to any of the topic ideas I had. And so, what I usually do for the weekly webinars is during the week, I have ideas and I just jot them down. I put them on my phone, as a matter of fact. And so, whenever I get an idea, I put it down my phone, and then during the week, I'll like go through them and I'll sort of like weed out the bad ideas and focus in on the good ones. And I had several ideas, but they were just not like really doing it for me. And so that's why I lit on the idea of an AMA. So anyway, going back to this list, Iron Fist. Let me see this. Let me see. You're gonna have to forgive me because this is just not as easy as I thought it would be. Okay. Okay. Iron Fist. Let me bring on Iron Fist because he had a question, and yeah, Iron Fist, are you there? Hello, Iron Fist. Hello, Iron Fist, are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, Iron Fist, how's it going?
Hello?
Hello,
Can you
Iron.
hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, Iron Fist.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. Do we have a lag or do we have a problem?
There's hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you fine, but there.
I don't know why I don't have audio from the StreamYard. Oh
Okay.
shit, I fucked it up.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. I'll boot you, and you fix it. Okay. Okay. Shit. This is not easy to do this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Tiger uppercut. Let me just answer. Let me just talk to. Yeah, I just want to take. Yeah, Tiger uppercut. He asked the following question, and let me get to that right there. Tiger uppercut. He said, CRP, you said you had a heart condition and just over a year to live. Well, that's not quite accurate, but fine. I understand you wanted to be private about this, but I will speak on behalf of many fans that you have us very concerned. This is also an AMA. However, what exactly were your diagnoses? Okay, I'm not going to talk about that. It's nobody's business but my own. Okay. Assume the following. You guys know that I'm really, really strict about delivering content, right? So if I miss out on one video and one webinar, you figure that something happened. And if I miss out on 2 consecutive weeks, just figure that I bit the bullet. Okay, simple as that. I mean, there isn't going to be a big announcement. Okay, I'm not going to like do like a big to do. Okay, I much prefer to just go out and just be gone, as opposed to make a big to do about problems I have. Hell, I might live longer than anticipated. Who knows? But yeah, I'm not going to make a big to do about it or talk about that. Okay, okay. I mean, I appreciate Tiger. I want to get really fucking clear. It's very kind of you, and I very much appreciate your concern. And I mean this sincerely. I'm not just I don't mean to blow you off, and I hope I don't sound as if I'm blowing you off. But I just don't want to talk about it, and I don't want to focus on it. It's pointless at this point. Okay, I've spent enough time and energy on that particular issue that I'm past it, to tell you the truth. Okay, and so going through the list here, Iron Fist said how to handle how to handle the losses and being a young loser. Okay, let's see if Iron Fist is here. Iron Fist, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. What's up?
Okay, I just restarted it. Thank you for having me on again.
No, no problem. No, it happens. Shit, man. I mean,
you're over the first question.
You guys are real patient with me insofar as my tech problems are concerned. So it's the least I can do insofar as being patient with you because of your tech issues. So no worries. So what's on your mind? You were saying that how to handle losses and what to do as a young loser, right?
Can I just say something before?
Sure.
I don't know if you remember me, but I was the one from Israel during the Civil War with that hot Hungarian Venezuelan cousin.
Oh yeah, yeah. And what happened with it?
I showed her the video you made of Eastern European girls, and she said, "Yep, everything you said is right." Her face was just like, just like no emotion. Just yep, that's about it.
You're kidding.
Yeah, I mean, so I can confirm.
Yeah, I mean, she really wasn't like just yeah, fine, it works, and just like
Nope,
blowing it
she
off.
was like 100% and then silent. She didn't say anything during the entire video. I put it on a giant like 70-inch 4K TV, and I made her watch it at 2 o'clock in the morning yesterday,
Oh,
and
come on, that
she
was
was
fucking
like,
cruel. That's fucking cruel. Okay, I mean, you got to get her to watch it like on a regular screen, like actually on a phone screen, because that way
uh,
it's a smaller image, and so she can feel more like she can object. I'm actually kind of curious as to do you have her around there?
unfortunately, she's working now, but next time I can try to bring her on if you want.
Yeah, that would be
Um,
funny. Yeah, I'd really like to know what you thought, like honestly, and tell all you guys, because there are a lot of guys who saying like, no, Eastern European women are more like Western women, blah blah
no,
blah.
no, I have lived in Eastern European. I'm Eastern European. I'm all a mix of all the countries, but I think it's in the genes. I've read somewhere that Slavic people have neurotic, anti-trusting, aggressive genes. Like even my cousins who are Eastern European and they were born in Israel, they're still like very mean and shit testing all the time. Even to me, they're even my mother to me or my cousins to me or like just people. I give you an example. So I live in Israel and there's a lot of Russians here, and I
Yep.
was trying to give this Russian girl a tip and she wouldn't accept it. It was like, "Are you sure? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Take it."
What was she? She was a
Russian
waitress?
immigrant,
No, no, she was a waitress. Why were you giving her a tip?
just a waitress, just like at a store.
That's weird. Well, yeah. So anyway, you were asking about losses and being a young loser, right?
Yeah, which is kind of ironic that I'm asking this because from the outside, my life is pretty good. I
Hmm.
mean, it could be better, but there are things in life that I thought I would achieve by now, and for circumstances out of my control, mostly injuries and surgery, I haven't really achieved what I thought I would achieve, and I was on track to in sports and in my career. How do I deal with idiots who've surpassed me because of
Okay.
things out of my control?
How old are you, and what do you do? Not specific,
I'm
just
I'm
general.
21, and I work in let's say asset management, I think it is.
Yeah.
And I had to take like a year and a half off, and like during the whole COVID market, I couldn't trade or anything because I had needed surgery, and because of the crisis, I couldn't get surgery because it was too dangerous to give me surgery.
Hmm.
So I just basically sat around for a year doing nothing, waiting for neurosurgery, not neuro surgery on my nerves.
Okay. And what? Okay. What kind of surgery on your nerves?
I fucked up my hand in MMA and lifting, so I had to like get it fixed up. It was a
Oh,
very
on your
complex
hand.
surgery. Yeah, yeah, very complex surgery, and I was in
Oh, yeah.
a lot of pain. And my it was like carpal tunnel plus like five other things. They had three surgeons on one hand. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah, hands are complicated that way. Yeah, okay, I
Yeah.
get it. Okay, look, first of all, you're 21. See, you haven't started losing yet. Okay,
Okay.
uh, uh, and you have to understand, like everybody who's young is a loser. Every guy starts out as a loser. Okay, and whatever you've achieved by 21, count yourself lucky. Okay, you're ahead of the curve, so don't worry about it. You got to understand. See, you're really going to be hitting your stride as a guy in your 40s. Okay. I'm 53. I'm not talking about like in your 50s. In your 50, you're like cruising and on the gentle downslope. Okay. That's a fact. But when you're like 40, between 37 and 45, that's the sweet spot of a guy's life. Mhm. And I'm talking from experience. And I'll tell you that after 50, it's like a slow decay. And then it's like an abrupt decay after 63, 65, something like that. Okay. And just like with women, they're hot in their early 20s, and then they sort of like slowly plateau during their mid to late 20s. And then early 30s, they sort of like fade and then they drop, right? It's like that. And just like for guys. And so if you're at 21, you haven't even reached your peak yet. Okay. So just chill out. Don't worry about it. And what you should be doing is like saying yes to everything. Okay. Whatever challenge you might have, whatever opportunity you might have, take it. Okay. Because it'll be just experience. You've got plenty of time to lose right now. Now, insofar as sports are concerned, fuck sports. Okay. I mean,
What?
yeah, fuck sports. Unless you're at a actual professional level where you could potentially make serious money, sports is a pastime. It's not something to be devoting your life to. Are you potentially a professional athlete?
I had to, but I decided to be a shit career, so I
Well,
made the choice. So no.
yeah, but I mean, like, why did you make the career? Because you figured that you couldn't really make it. Is that
Well,
accurate?
not just that, just in mixed martial arts in general, especially outside of the States, there's just no money in it. And I come from a wealthy background, and
Mhm.
I've never been poor, like, and I don't want to be poor.
Nobody
So
does. Yeah.
yeah, I think I really appreciate this advice, and I don't know what else to say.
Don't
My
worry about
my
it.
question was, but there are these outliers at my age of, guys who do well with women, or I don't even do that bad. I don't try anymore after living in Eastern Europe. I just can't wait to leave.
Okay.
Um,
Where are you? You're in Israel
I'm
now?
in Israel. I'm in the Tel Aviv area. It's like California. I don't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
want to anymore.
yeah.
And
I have not been there, but I have heard that it's a lot like Southern California. Yeah.
I see my cousin, my Hungarian cousin, and I see how her friends treat her, and it's like I thought it was only for guys, but when I saw how my cousin's friends actually treat her, I was like, I definitely, I just don't want anything to do with this. But with COVID and everything, I can't travel. Ugh.
Oh man. Okay. Well. Okay. So Iron Fist. It was great talking to you,
Thank you
man.
so
Good
much.
luck with your surgery, man. Take it easy.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. Let's bring in Josh. Josh, how's it going?
Hello. How you
Hey,
going?
pretty good. Pretty good. And yourself?
Not well. I'm currently going into a 2-week lockdown thanks to Australians' totalitarian laws.
Well, go out on the
Yes.
street and protest. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, something like that. The police might tackle me to the ground. And they've done that
Yeah.
a few
Exactly.
times.
They do it all the time, actually. Yeah. You saw that preacher. What's his name? That was in Australia, wasn't it? That,
I believe so. Yeah. There's so
that
many
Polish.
cases.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Polish preacher who was like Nazis and screaming at them, and like a week later, he's driving his car and they stop him over and arrest him in the middle of the fucking highway. God damn, that was cold. But anyway,
Wow.
so yeah, you didn't hear about that? Yeah, I mean,
No, I haven't heard about that one
Chad,
actually.
confirm. I mean, tell Josh here that I'm not making this shit up. Yeah, there was this Polish pastor. I do believe it was in Australia, or maybe it was Canada. Actually, now I think about it, I think it was in Canada. It was in Canada. Yeah, Heavy Sigh is saying here in chat that it was in Canada. Sorry about that. Yeah,
No worries.
but it doesn't matter. It's the same shit, different country. So what are you going to
Australia
do?
hasn't had COVID deaths for over a year, but we're continuing this lockdown. It's just insane, to be honest. It's just insane.
Well, it's a combination of two factors going on. Number one is politicians figure it's better to be proactive, radically proactive, so that nobody blames them for anything, because they were just protecting Australia or protecting the citizens or whatever the fuck, right? And so they'll do these outrageous initiatives in order to be seen as if they are protecting the people, number one. And number two, there's a contingent of people who want to have more power over the people, okay? There's a contingent of elites who just don't like the fact that people are so fucking independent. They don't like it. It's weird, okay? And it's not. But here's the weird thing: it's not that they don't like other people to be independent, that they want to control them. But rather, they're afraid of other people being independent. Ergo, they want to control them. You see the difference, the distinction between the two. It's they are afraid that regular people might do God knows what. So wouldn't it be better to just lock them all down? You see, that seems to be the mentality.
Well, Australians are quite apathetic politically and otherwise. There've been a bunch of laws that have just passed, swept under the rug, whilst the coronavirus has been a big talking point. So it's quite scary. There've been arrests where they will, like, I know this happens in America as well, but with the Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, they'll go, oh, yeah, that's fine. The High Court will approve that, which is the highest court in Australia. But if you want to have a protest of 100 people against the lockdowns, it just gets shut down completely.
Yeah.
Quite scary.
Yeah.
And
So
now they're
what's
trying to
your
force me
question?
to get a vaccine. But anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. Okay, look, I'll just outline my thinking about the COVID vaccine and the COVID passports. Okay, because several people have asked it, so I'll just say it real quick, and then we can get into it.
Yeah.
I am in favor. My official position is that I am in favor of the vaccine if you feel that you should take it. And I am very much against anybody who tries to fake take the vaccine. I think that is absolutely positively wrong. I think it's really disgusting how people have talked to friendly doctors and sometimes bribed a corrupt doctor to get them to pretend to give them the vaccine, but actually give them nothing or give them a placebo and stamp their card as having been vaccinated. I think that's really disgusting, and I am so opposed to it. So absolutely and totally opposed to that sort of thing. That's an egregious violation of the common principles of something or other. It's just wrong to do that. And so I am so against anybody ever doing that, of talking to a friendly doctor or paying off with a few $100s some corrupt doctor to pretend to give you a vaccine. That is wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. It's immoral. It's evil. It's you're being a Nazi if you do that. That's what I think. And that's my official position, and I'm sticking to it. Okay?
Noted.
Okay, Josh. Good. Good. I'm glad that you understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. Because, fucking illegality is wrong. It's evil. It's immoral. It's despicable. It's disgusting. And people should not do evil things, right? Am I right, Josh?
Absolutely. Yes.
Fuck yeah.
I'll take
yeah.
that whilst reading the tea leaves. So
Yeah, and give me a hallelujah, motherfucker. Okay. So that out of the way, Josh. What's on your mind? What's the specific question you have?
Okay, so this question has been brewing in me to ask you for a while. It basically stemmed from your webinar of going from simp to pimp, and I was listening to that whilst driving. I was like, oh shit, I was like, okay. Once you did that Tony, whatever his name is, Scarface quote, I'm like, okay, that's on the money right there.
Yeah, first you get the money, then you get the power, and then you get the women. Yeah,
yep.
Absolutely true. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, so I don't have much expendable income as a uni student, and I've been distracted with girls and all that, and that's hurt my grades a little bit.
Sure.
But now I'm like, no, I just need to focus.
I got kicked out of university twice because I got distracted by the girls. Okay, I know what the fuck you're talking about. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm not immune to that particular problem. So okay, go ahead.
I am, attractive enough, but that's beside the point. I am confident in my ability to attract women, but the time to put into it, like I think I said in my thing something about my game or something, to really work on that aspect to get the hot girls that I want, I believe is too much. Maybe, I don't know.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay. I actually recorded a couple of videos that are coming up 1st of July, I think, or perhaps after that. But it'll be on my free channel. But bottom line is that, see, look, you always got to remember that when you're a young guy, when you're like 20, around that age, when you're under 27, okay, you're at the bottom of the sexual marketplace insofar as guys are concerned, okay? And women, rather, are only looking at guys insofar as looking for a pretty boy, okay? They can't handle a guy with any kind of personality. They just want a very attractive guy. And some of them, they're starting to age into being interested in more interesting guys, okay? But that hasn't happened yet, especially when you're 20 and you're dating girls who are like, I don't know, 17, 18, 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to understand that this is going to be like a shitty time in your life in terms of getting like quality girls. So what you want is just mileage in the sense of just, going out, dating different people, meeting as many people as possible, always saying yes to meeting new people and trying out new shit. Okay. You're not expected to get married at this age. Okay. You're expected to figure out what you like. And also you have yet to develop a lot. So don't worry about it. Now, insofar as like obsessively chasing girls, it's normal. It's no big deal. Try not to fuck up your life. But even if you do crash your life at this age, i.e., chase so many girls and so much tail that you sort of like forget about schoolwork and get kicked out, don't worry about it because you're 20 years old. Okay. Nothing that you do at this age is really going to affect you long term. Okay. I mean, not unless you commit like an actual crime. I don't know, drunk driving or something stupid like that. Now that would be fucking stupid. But, doing something minorly stupid, like chase girls and flunk out because of it, which is what I did twice. Okay. It's no big deal. Okay. So just enjoy life and enjoy the youth that you have. And sorry, I'm sweating like a pig because it's so fucking hot, man. And I don't know how to deal with this shit. But anyway, yeah. What else is on your mind?
Right. So I guess whilst I'm like studying, and I do chase girls here and there, and that's fine. But it's like that motivation to go to get the power. Like that was the key thing I'm focusing on. It's like it's one thing to be, just whatever here and there going in and out, but if you're really going for that mountaintop, and you're at home, you're on your computer, you're working like a pig, you're working like a dog, and you're not really getting that pussy, right?
Wait, what are you working on? Okay.
It is general at best, but it is got as I am a finance student, finance and maths, and I'm quite interested in investment banking or sales. I'm not sure where in finance, but in that area, I'm interested. And ultimately, I want to start be a business owner. So it's quite aloof. I don't know where the world's going to go. It's so crazy what's happening. So
yeah, it's incredibly crazy and incredibly confusing. Okay, look, we're in the middle of a depression. You got to understand that. We're in a serious financial depression, but also a spiritual depression. The West, and I include Australia in this, doesn't know where to go. It has weak leadership. It has a broken people in many respects. Remember the webinar I did, the State of the Union, where I talked about the American people? This pretty much applies to all the Western people. The West is tired and broken and doesn't know where to go. And this translates to young guys like you not knowing where to go or what to do. And so what you should be striving for in this period, okay, is to get as much experience as you can in all facets of your life. And anything that, any opportunity that comes your way of any sort of business or job opportunity, not grab it. Not because you're thinking that, cold-bloodedly thinking that this is going to advance your career. No, you want to get as much experience as possible, okay? Not experience that might necessarily be good for your CV, but experience about life and living and people, most especially people. The more experience you have with people, the better you will be in the long run. One of the best things that ever happened to me was, like I said, I got kicked out of university twice because of bad grades, because I was chasing tail like I was a son of a bitch, right? And my mom said basically, look, you got to leave and find yourself a job because, I'm not going to be supporting a deadbeat. And she was right. And I wound up being an English teacher. And I worked as an English teacher for 3.5 years. And that was one of the best experiences, if not the best experience in my life in terms of gaining experience about people. Because I was dealing with, well, it was between 6 and 12 students per class. And I had between 6 and 8 classes per day. And this was, Monday through Friday. It was bright and early from 7 a.m. to about 10 a.m. and 10, 11 a.m. And then from like 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. See, because it was office workers. These people were office workers who would work during the day. And so they'd come early in the morning or late in the evening to the English class that I taught at this institute, right? At this English language place. And it was the best experience. And because I was dealing with people all the time, dealing with people and learning about people. And ultimately, you have to understand that what you are dealing with is people. So you have to learn how to handle them. And so any experience that you get where you are in touch with more people is a good experience. A lot of people say that, for instance, being a waiter is a horrible job. Well, yeah, it is in many ways. It's a shit job. But you learn about people because you're interacting with people all day. And I can't emphasize this enough. Mastering that skill of dealing with people is one of the things that I've noticed that young people especially they're not very good at it because they interact with screens, but they don't interact one-on-one. And you want to get into finance. In finance, the higher you go, the more in person it is, okay? Because when you're dealing with millions of dollars in some deal, you want to meet the guy. You want to be in the fucking room with them, okay? You want to meet the guy and talk to the guy and see just by feel, what's going on. It's so important, okay? And so my emphasis is on dealing with people. And don't think of it like some sort of fucking video game. Because, see, people who are trading on Robinhood and shit like that, they think of it like a video game, which is a mistake. Because that's small bore finance, small bore business. Small potatoes is, like a video game, like a Robinhood account or some shit like that. But when you go into the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in the deal, then it becomes a one-on-one thing of like being in the room with people. and you gotta know people. Okay, and that's why I'm so adamant about you as a young guy gaining experience with people and not be in front of a screen all the time. I know this isn't exactly what you're asking about, but see, what you're asking, you're basically, the question you're really asking is, what the fuck do I do? And
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know, because it's different for every guy. Okay. It's different for every guy because each guy is different, different interests, different abilities, and different talents. So all I can give you is sort of like a something that can not only help you but also the other people listening, which is a more uh, it's kind of vague. I am aware of that, but it's trying to emphasize what is important at this stage of your development, which is dealing with people, meeting people, interacting with people, sometimes smoothly and sometimes not so smoothly. Because like a lot of times when I was teaching English, there would be, friction and dust ups with people for different reasons, clash of personalities, sometimes with me, sometimes between the students. And you learn about yourself and you learn about other people and how they interact, even in the bad moments, actually, especially in the bad moments. Okay. And so this is what you want to be experiencing, like human interaction. And I know it's very difficult because of the lockdown. You're going 2 fucking weeks. I'm sorry, you're going in 2 more weeks into lockdown, or it's going to be a 2-week lockdown?
So the lockdown started Friday 6 p.m. and now the Premier is saying, "Oh, we're going to do another 2 weeks after the 2 weeks." So it ends on the 9th of July, and then they're going to reassess in the next 2 weeks.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yep. We have had like so little cases, and they bring over people coming, all the Australians coming back, and they just party, and then it just goes out. It's all reactionary, but
It's insane. Insane. Anyway,
I
Josh,
would say what you
yeah,
did say
go ahead.
did made me think about something that I was doing before. Before COVID, I actually was working as an intern, if you'd call it, unpaid intern, at
Yeah.
the Parliament House of the state I live in, New South Wales, because I
The what of the State House?
the Parliament House of New South Wales.
Oh, the Parliament House. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so not the national one,
Yeah,
the
but the
state
local.
one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was interacting with, various reasonably powerful people, and I quite liked it, but I also came to the
Fun.
conclusion similar that you did, which is, politicians are kind of the failed people in society, or not so much failed, but they're not the great people.
No.
The great people are in business. And I did get that sense, but the reason why it stopped is because of COVID. And I said, oh, I don't want to be a politician, because there was a point where I'm like, I'm passionate about change and all the rest of it, quite young, 18 or so.
Yeah.
I want to go to Parliament and change this fucked up country. Well, not quite, but going there. It's weak leadership.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, business, money, individual power, all that type of thing, versus this collective kind of cesspool that just everyone stabs each other. I mean, that happens in business too, but the Australian politics is quite strange in that way. But I think
all politics is more or less the same. But the thing is, see, the kind of personality that really fits in with politicians nowadays, and because of how it's evolved, is really kind of like scumbaggy type of people. Very obsequious people who will say yes to everything, no matter how outrageous. And so, yeah, if you have a little bit of a backbone, you're going to be a little bit repulsed by that, right? Is that more or less what happened to you?
I am quite repulsed by it, but then it's making me think, should I go back to gain the interpersonal experience and perhaps even contacts?
Well, that would be very Machiavellian and calculated, and sure, I would suggest that would be a good idea. If you think to yourself, I am going to do this shit for X amount of time, and then I'm going to move into private enterprise and do X, Y, and Z insofar as climbing a corporate ladder outside of the government. You see, if you're thinking like that, it's very structured. Sure, I would actually recommend it. If you're thinking, oh, I'll just go into politics and I'll just do that as a career, I'd say, no, that's not a good idea. But if you're thinking consciously that you're going to have an exit stage, an exit point, and you define that exit point before you go into it,
Mhm.
Now we're talking. Now we're really talking. Yeah. Okay,
Right.
Josh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
Bring in. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Josh.
Well, I'm just thinking about how that would play out in my particular scenario. But thank you very much for hearing
My
me.
pleasure.
I've wanted to talk to you for a while, but it's quite late in Australia. But yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing and keep up. Keep it up. Hope it all
Thank
goes
you so
well.
much, Josh.
Yeah.
That's very kind of you. You take it easy, man.
See you later.
Serene, how's it going?
It's good.
So what's on your mind, my man?
All right. So I guess the more important question is I want to understand, so I was working my life back from 80, as you said, or more like what I want, my family and my community to look like 20 years after I die. And,
Why would you
getting
bother about
back
that?
into like,
Wait. Who cares about after you die?
well, I'm not one of those people who's only concerned with my life. Like, maybe I'm a little bit religious, but I want, my grandchildren to be in a good place.
Oh yeah, that's understandable, sure. But I mean, don't like don't like draw up fantasies of like, oh, what's my dynasty is going to look like 100
Oh,
years
I
after
know.
you
I'm not
die.
talking about, giving my grandkids Lamborghinis. But anyways, I'm thinking I
Okay?
want to live the life I want. I'm going to want, assets by 40, and I'm thinking I'm not going to have a good life, just working for another business, even if it's, for a fairly good wage. That's not the life I
How
want to
old are
live,
you
and I don't.
now, and what do you do?
Uh, do you say how old am I?
Yeah.
I'm 25 right now. I'm working in a lab for 16 bucks an hour. It's a job I'm only really in because of coronavirus.
Yeah. So yeah, an employee will never make big money. Okay, and even if you as an employee do make big money, like you become like a C-suite executive or some shit like that, you're always going to have to be negotiating and compromising with the boss, with your other peers. It's not an easy life. Okay, I personally decided not to be an employee years ago. I mean, I remember very clearly. I was like 19, and it was October of 17th October 1987 to be exact. I remember the exact moment very clearly when I made the conscious decision that I wasn't going to have a boss, that I wasn't going to work for somebody else. Of course, I've had to have bosses over the years for different reasons, but they were just very short term and very specific because I just needed to make some money. Like, for instance, like when I was in college washing dishes at Thayer Hall, not Thayer Hall, at Burke Hall. What you call it? Yeah, I had a boss then, of course, but that was just because I just needed money because I had a crappy job. But you will never make real money as an employee. And even if you do, you will never be free, which is the real thing that you want. Okay. Money in and of itself is not that big of a
Exactly,
deal.
it's for the freedom. It's like I said, I want to be able to live off of assets, when I'm 40. That's the ideal.
Okay. So what's up?
So to crunch my family backstory really short, my mom was a feminist. My dad was sort of abusive in his own way. Like my mom was a real feminist, not one of those feminists who thinks, it just means equality.
Yeah.
So for two things. One, I was always taught, that I should want to be small, and I've my impulse has been trying to be invisible. I've been working on getting out of that for, the past few months. And my parents' idea of success, like they just wanted me to do drugs so I wouldn't, think about my problems. But what I want to be is, I want to have my own business that I can sell or have someone else managing and live off when I'm 40. And I'm wondering what books you'd recommend because I see ads for stuff like this, but the people who are promoting this stuff, I get the impression that most of them are con artists who have no business other than scamming people who want to start a business out of their money.
Yeah. Basically. See, it's most people, they dream about getting a passive income because look, most people, what they really want to do is just be sitting on their asses and getting a check every month and not have to do anything. Okay, that's what they want.
Exactly. Like I
And
said,
that's
when I'm 40, I
basically
want,
impossible. Okay.
more than I'm thinking polygamy looks like a good idea. Something I'm considering, have, some 18-year-old girls and kids, in, like a large farmhouse somewhere, maybe a pond or something, and, just live off of, rental income or something like that.
Yeah, but see, to achieve that,
And I
you have
want,
to work your
to be
ass
able to
off.
afford, like, to own a private school or something.
To own a private school? Why would you want to own a private school?
Well, I'm not really happy with the education system in America, and it's not like it's great in other countries. Maybe send to someone else's private school, but I'd like to be in the position of, having influence over the education.
Well, sure. I mean, you want your kids to be educated properly. But okay, first of all, the idea of like, you're going to be like some 40-year-old guy and marrying some 18-year-old. Okay, that's kind of like, why would you want that specifically? 18-year-old is pretty much a child on the one hand. On the other hand, having like a harem, like a polygamous harem, and at 40 and just sitting on your ass and getting money from rental income. Yeah, that's the dream of every bum. Okay. But in order to achieve that, you have to work like an animal. Okay. It's you see that kind of stuff. You don't just get it. You have to earn it. You have to work for it. Okay. So it's perfectly fine to have some dream like that. But yeah, I think you have to understand that there's that great line from Rush's tune, "Something for Nothing." You can have something for nothing, and you can have freedom for free. Okay, if you want that kind of freedom to just not be worried about money and do whatever you want on a daily basis, and have a family with children of your own being educated right, well, you have to work for it. And it's working for it and also taking some risks, a lot of risks. And being an employee of somebody else, you're never going to be taking any risks. And you're going to watch as every year slides by and you haven't accomplished much. And so you're 25 and you're working at some COVID job. Understandable, fine. But see, this COVID lockdown shit, one way or another, it's going to end. So what are you going to do?
I am planning. I'm in contact with 2 construction companies, trying to think about learning carpentry so I can maneuver from that into, giving me an advantage. It would give me an advantage, seeing what repairs a property need if I was going to invest in real estate, and that's my idea.
Okay, but being a carpenter, which is a great craft, you are selling your time. Okay, that is not a way to become independent. That's a way to have a very good income over time as an employee. I mean, you could be an independent, an independent carpenter, but you'd be an employee. See,
So
because you're working for somebody. You're
goes
selling
back to my
your
question.
time. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't understand the business world. I wasn't, it's not, I don't know anyone who is, business successful, not in real life at least. And that's the kind of thing I want to know, want to learn more about what it's like or how to get into that. And like I said,
Okay.
most of the people that are promoting like a book or something are the
Yeah,
con artists.
they're selling some bullshit. Yeah. Yeah, because it's probably some ad saying, "Oh, you too can get passive income," and they start selling you some spiel, and in the end, it's just bullshit. Okay, the way to make money in business it's always been very, very simple. You put buyers and sellers together. You are a middleman. That's what a businessman is. Okay. Okay. Let me give you a specific example. Suppose, see, you're a carpenter. Okay, and you make these really nice, I don't know, like cutting boards. Okay, you make these great cutting boards, and they're really nice and really pretty and shit like that. And see, I don't know how to make any fucking cutting board. What the fuck, I mean, I'm like, I have no idea of any carpentry or any shit like that. But I look at your product and it looks really nice, right? And so what I do is I find somebody who'd be willing to buy this shit, but not an individual. I think to myself, I really want to be selling this shit via some big department store or some very expensive store that would be into this kind of like high-end cutting board shit. Okay. And suppose I have some contact at, I don't know, fucking Walmart. I'm just making shit up. Okay. And, you know, I tell him, this contact in Walmart, hey, you know, I have a guy who can make these cutting boards and they're really pretty, and and you show off a couple, and the guy says, okay, you know what I can do? I can cut you some deal whereby you supply these cutting boards and we'll market them, distribute it to our, you know, Walmart locations in the Northeast, and we'll see how it goes. And so I come to you and I say, hey, you know, I really like your cutting board. So why don't you give me like, what you call it, 50 of these cutting boards, okay? And I take 50 of your cutting boards, right? And you're happy because all of a sudden you have an order for 50 cutting boards, right? And you sell them to me for, say, $10 a pop, right? And because I negotiate with you, because you usually sell them for, say, $20 a pop, but I say to you, no, I mean, I'm buying 50. Come on, give me a price break, and we settle on $10 per pop, right? So I'm paying you $500 for these 15 cutting boards, but I'm turning around and I'm going to be selling them to Walmart for $1,500, right? And how much work did I actually do? How much time and effort did I spend on this deal? Not
Well,
a
it
hell of a lot.
doesn't matter how much time and effort you spent on it, because it's going to keep producing after you've spent the time and effort making the deal to both people.
Right, exactly. And see, that is what a businessman is, always, and it's always been that way. See, because look, in this world, there are two kinds of people. There are people who produce goods and services, and then there are those people who take those goods and services and put them in contact with the people who buy that shit. And that class of people, the businessman, is a very different breed than the guy who actually creates stuff. I mean, like, look, Karl Marx was actually kind of right in a lot of respects insofar as the psychology of the businessman. Okay, the psychology of the businessman is rather exploitative, because ultimately he is getting something from basically nothing. He's connecting two people. He's connecting buyers to producers, and he's taking a cut. And sometimes that cut is fucking huge. But you see the situation here, okay? And this has always been the case. And so you have to be slightly ruthless in order to do that. And you have to understand yourself and understand, do I have the personality for this? You see what I'm saying, Serene?
I'm not sure what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that you have to figure out if you have the personality to be a businessman or you do not. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you know, you want to learn carpentry, and that's a great occupation. I mean, I do woodworking shit as a hobby. I do it very badly, but I enjoy it, and that's the important thing, but because it's a hobby. But if you are a carpenter as a profession, okay, well, as a carpenter, you are producing something, and something of value, and that's a wonderful thing. But you have to understand that as a carpenter, you're going to be working and producing, and ultimately you're going to be selling your time. That's what you're doing. You're not making deals. A businessman makes deals. A businessman doesn't produce. A businessman puts people together. And so you say that you want to study carpentry, and I'm like, more power to you. But you have to figure out, but at the same time, you have this ambition that you want to be a businessman and not have to work, and you want to know what book to read or what to do or what to learn or where to go to find out the secret to basically getting money and getting a great life without without any effort. Okay. And so
It's not so
go
much
ahead.
about without any effort, and it's not so much that I want to be a carpenter. It's just the carpentry seems like, you know, the best, you know, it's the best path I see at the moment out of, you know, the things the best, it's it's the in the moment best thing that comes to mind. And it's not that I want something for nothing, it's that I want to, you know, do the work to get past working.
Okay.
Or to get past having to work every day.
Okay. Well, Okay, there's multiple stuff there that you have to think about, and I'll point out parenthetically just so that you know, a life without having any kind of need to work is a horrible life. Don't kid yourself. Okay, you might think to yourself, "Oh, I hate working." No, you hate having the desperation of not having money and therefore needing to work, which is different. See, a lot of young guys, they quote unquote hate work and they don't want to work. But what it really is they don't want to be desperate about money. And what most guys who have money will tell you is that once they get the money, then the work is fun because they're only doing shit that they really enjoy. And the trick is really to have that mentality of only doing shit that you enjoy, even when you don't have any money. That's the trick that you should be doing. In my own case, I decided very, very young that I was never going to do anything. I was never going to have a boss, and I was never going to do anything that I didn't enjoy, that I personally didn't like. And sometimes I made a lot of money that way, and sometimes I frittered away a lot of money because I was doing shit that was not particularly financially successful, though it was personally very satisfying. See, and so okay, so there's that part. Look, bottom line, you're 25. Okay. My suggestion would be to just work at different things and gain more experience. Because to tell you the truth, listening to you, it seems as if you need more experience to figure out what you want, and more importantly, figure out who you are. Okay, and I know I'm not answering your question, and I wish I could. I mean, if I could just answer and say this is the answer, I'd give it to you without hesitation. But in your case, it seems to me that you just need more experience and more time working and experiencing life, unfulfilling though that answer may be. Hello?
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna try and where do I click? Oh,
okay. No. Well, bye, Tivin. Take it easy. Hi, Carlos. How's it going?
Hello,
Carlos?
Coach. How's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yourself?
Great, great. You know, here in I actually just permanently left Canada like a month ago.
Oh, really?
I'm currently staying. Yeah, yeah. Canada is a fucking communist shithole, so I'm out.
Okay, where did you go?
I'm currently just with some family in California. While I plan for like my next step. But you know, I'm like in rural California, so like it's really not that bad. Could be
Northern
worse.
California?
Rural California, yeah, in the south.
Okay, and what's it like out there right now?
Honestly, it's not that bad. Like, basically, they say like you gotta be vaccinated, but like, you know, I don't give a fuck anyways. I just like show up with no mask and like nobody cares. Like,
Yeah.
what's interesting, it's like there's a lot of like Trump signs as well in the place where I am. Like, what I've realized is that there's actually a lot of like conservatives in California. They're just a lot more like low key about it.
Really?
Yeah, it's something I wouldn't have known. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I would figure that too. In rural California, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, interesting. Anyway, so what's on your mind, man? And good for you that you split from Canada. Although California, the way it's going now, it's going down the tubes. So
Oh no,
I mean,
absolutely.
yeah,
I
it's
totally
good that
agree.
you're in rural California. That's a world away. But I hear that LA and San Francisco are just going down the fucking tubes.
Oh yeah, no, I used to live in San Francisco. I'm not going there ever again. Like, like I'm actually looking to move to Texas for the time being because I do believe in the U.S. I don't think I agree with you that the U.S. is going to shit, but I do believe in Texas and I believe in Florida. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyhow, so just the first thing I want to comment on, I have a list of like stuff.
Okay.
So I saw your thing on Telegram on the face shields.
Yeah. Oh, that was fucking funny. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I can't pull up the picture because I have it on my phone, and transferring it here to my computer will be here all night. But it was basically a face shield that was from, I swear to God, it was like from here. It was like covered the entire face in this polarizing kind of glass. You know, that kind of glass that that it looks like purple and yellow and orange and red, like, you know, like the colors of the rainbow kind of thing, depending on the angle that you look at it. It was totally smooth, right? It was fucking hilarious, man. And it was like the total mask shield. And I thought, man, that would be like perfect for like dystopian movie or some shit like that. That was fucking funny. Yeah. I'm sorry, Carlos.
So
Just give me the background for people who didn't see it. Yeah.
So funny thing about that. So there's actually a TV show called Black Mirror that has an episode that's it has like exactly the same thing, which is basically when someone gets banned from life, everybody sees their face like that.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept.
I'll go check it out. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
Cool. Anyhow, so the first thing I want to mention, so John McAfee. What happened to the bastard?
Oh, John McAfee. Yeah. Is it McAfee or McAfee? I don't know. Anyway.
McAfee.
Okay, I have an unpopular opinion. Okay. I think he did off himself. I think he trolled people. I think that he decided, you know, I've had a good run, and I'll just tell everybody that if I get suicided, you know, that, you know, I was Epsteined, right? And I suspect that he did it, you know? Yeah. I look, they had him on tax evasion, okay? And, you know, for all his talk that he had dirt on people, you know, I'm always suspicious of that, because whenever anybody says that they have dirt on people, they don't say that they have dirt on people. They release it, okay? The people who actually have shit on you, they're not going to tell you, okay? Of course not, because you'll be on your guard. The people who don't have shit, they're the ones who say all the time, ooh, I have some information and blah, 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 and crap like that, okay? So I don't think that he had shit on anybody, or nobody of any consequence at any rate. And I think that he just is, he basically said, you know something, I'm just going to go out on my timetable. The guy was 70, 75 years old, something like that. He didn't have that many good years ahead of him. Okay. And so my thinking is that, yeah, he probably did himself in. I mean, I think that Epstein was definitely killed. Okay. I'm like, fuck yeah. I mean, come on, you know, like, you know, he was on a suicide watch and the cameras didn't work and the guards were asleep and he was screaming as he was dying. Fuck you, man. He was killed, right? You know, it was no suicide. And the timing was too perfect, right? But the McAfee situation, I think he did himself. I think he did suicide, you know, and nobody will ever know. To tell you the truth, I think it's a great troll that he pulled. If he did like suicide and he told everybody that he wasn't going to do it, I think that the guy just got tired and he realized that his entire life, once he got extradited, it was just going to be lawyers and prison cells and no fun, no entertainment. And so he just said, fuck it. You know, that's my thinking, honest to God. Okay. Because you got to keep in mind that he was a hedonist. Okay, John McAfee just liked his women. He liked his drugs. You know, he liked to have a good time. He liked to shoot his guns and whatnot. But I think that he was smart enough to see that his life ahead, there was no hope for it. It wasn't going to be like a happy ending. And there was no real hope for him to have a good time. I think that he was thinking to himself, you know, best case scenario, I'm in prison for 5-10 years. And that's going to wear me down quite a bit, because jail time is no joke, right? It's going to wear me down. And at the end, I'll be 80 years old. I'll be a broken old man with no money. Do I want to go out like that? And so that's why I think that he did off himself. Okay. To tell you the truth, had I been in his shoes, that's what I would have done. Yeah. If the feds got him and they are going to extradite him, and there's no way for him to avoid it. And, you know, he's going to lose all the remaining money he has because he didn't have that much money. Okay. He's going to lose all the remaining money, and he's going to spend the last decade of his life in misery and exit jail a broken down 80-year-old man. Fuck it. I mean, actually, how old was John McAfee?
Let me look it up.
John McAfee. He was, 75, almost 76 years old. Yeah. He suicided. Yeah, I don't believe it for a second that he was, because he's a smart man. A smart man like that, he'll know that you know, the legal process, even if it goes his way, would have been at least 3 years, probably closer to 7. And he'd be in jail the whole time because he'd be a flight risk. So he'd be in jail for minimum 3 years. And he's like, fuck that. Fuck that. I don't need that shit. You know, I had a good run. I fucked my women. I had my drugs. I met the interesting people. Fuck it. Let's move on. I think, I mean, honestly, that's what I think. Okay. And look, I could be completely wrong, but with the vantage point of a middle-aged man, which is what I am. Yeah. I mean, if I were in his shoes, I'm about to turn 75 years old. And I'm looking at my situation. I'm also looking to myself at my financial situation. And I'm also realizing that I don't have anybody really important in my life. Okay. I mean, somebody who really mattered. I mean, he married a hooker, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
The black woman who says that she's his wife, which I have no reason to doubt, by the way. But I understand she was a hooker, you know? So, you know, come on. He didn't have anybody in his life, you know? And nobody was going to really miss him. And all the people around him were probably just hangers on and people who like thought he was cool, or, you know, he probably had outlived a lot of his friends, or a lot of his friends growing up had become senile and decrepit. You know, I mean, the guy looked good, you know, I mean, I'm sure he had some work done, like some plastic surgery and also like a hair job of some sort. Right. But I'm betting that all the friends that he had are either senile or dead. And so, you know, he's like, what the fuck? Why am I going to wait around? And that would be my thinking. Okay. I'm being dead honest. You know, I don't think that this issue of like, oh, you know, suicide is immoral. Fuck that. That's for children. Okay. You have to realize pragmatically and realistically how many good years you have ahead of you. Okay. And a 75-year-old man, and he seemed to be okay, but you have no idea of the aches and pains he had when he woke up. Okay. I'm 53, you know, and you guys all know that I broke my ankle badly last September, and I'm paying for it. I mean, every day, you know, it's not that it hurts, but getting up and walking a little bit, man, I feel like a broken down old man. You know, it hurts like a son of a bitch, especially in the mornings when I wake up, you know. And, you know, a man who's, like I said, almost 75, I can imagine his body just not being up for it anymore. Okay. I mean, we just see pictures of him and he's talking and nice and comfy in a sofa, right? But like walking around and just in pain, and just like, you know, food probably didn't sit very well with him all the time. You know, he had to have a fairly strict diet, or else he'd get an upset stomach, which basically means the shits all the time. He probably thought to himself, fuck it. Fuck it. I mean, look, this is idle speculation on my part, but it seems reasonable, especially considering how pragmatic and smart John McAfee was, because there's no doubt that he was a very, very smart man. So a smart guy like that, yeah, he would have made the calculated decision. And to go out claiming that if he dies, he was killed, that's the ultimate troll. That's the ultimate troll. And guaranteed to make it a living fucking nightmare for everybody who wanted to prosecute him, because now there's always going to be the taint that these people offed him somehow. Okay. I think it was the ultimate troll, but you know, that's my minority opinion. Yeah. What's next on your mind, man?
I think he makes a very case study of a man who is an alpha. But at the same time, you know, like you said, like he didn't have anyone to miss him. Because it's undeniable that he lived a great life, like John McAfee. But like now that he's dead, like I don't really think, besides his wife, that like most people miss him, which is really interesting for like a case study.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I do have like another question. So I was also listening to your other video on Eastern European women, and I heard your comment about like Bolivian versus Ukrainian women.
Yep.
I'm Latin American.
I stand behind that statement.
I 100% agree.
Okay.
But my question was basically this, and I don't want to get into like the SJW, like a white privilege and all that bullshit, but like there's actually like a fair point to it. My question is like, what makes a woman ugly, and what particularly do you think makes like a Ukrainian goddess look better than like a Bolivian,
But it's not skin.
woman.
Okay, that's stupid.
Uh-huh.
Like, you ever seen like some African women? I forget the name of the tribe. It's like in Sudan, Congo. I forget, but I met one in New York. Right, she had skin that it wasn't like black. It was so black that it was almost like purple. Okay, I swear to God, it was like the weirdest fucking thing. She was so hot. Okay, and every fucking person from that area that has that skin color is just like so beautiful, right? So it's not like skin color, okay? It's just, some people are ugly and some not, some are handsome and like Danish people, they're very attractive, okay? Why? I don't know. Swedes, for instance, they're not that attractive. Some of the women are, but interestingly enough, the hot Swedish women tend to be mixed with something else. Okay, but like straight up 100% Swedes or Finns or Norwegians, they're like a glass of milk. They're just boring. Just not pretty. They're kind of, I don't know, not attractive, right? But it's I don't know why. It just is, and it's none of this racism shit. Or well, actually, it is. Because different races of people from different regions, and I'm not talking about like Caucasian, Black, Asian. I'm talking about like separate races, like Danes are different from Brits, are different from Irish, are different from French. That level of different races, right? Some are just more attractive than others. What the fuck? It just is.
Yeah.
It's just, don't worry about it. I mean, like Argentines are shitloads more attractive than Chileans, right? I'm from Chile, I tell you, and I've been to Argentina loads of times. And Argentine people in general, on average, are more attractive than Chilean people. And Chilean people, on average, are shitloads more attractive than Bolivians. Well, everybody's more attractive than Bolivians, really.
Yeah, it's interesting also because like in Argentina they do have like they're more like mestizo, like they
by the
have
way,
like
by the way, you know who told me that Bolivians were so ugly? A Bolivian guy. A guy in college, and he was Bolivian. He wound up working. He is working at Morgan Stanley. He's like a big VP of something or other, and he was from Bolivia. And he said Bolivian women are the ugliest on the face of the planet. So I figured he would know, right? And I've been to Bolivia, and they're pretty horrible. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. So I was just saying that like it's interesting though that like the hot girls in Latin America, they typically are like half native and half Italian or half Spanish, or they have like part of like that aspect of it. And one thing that's interesting about Latin America that I don't think people like in the West understand is that, and you probably might know about this, that like a lot of like the hot girls, they're actually like westernized as fuck.
Sure.
Especially like the high class.
I'll tell you about, you're talking about mestizos are more attractive, right? I've noticed that in most countries, the people who are more quote unquote purebred of their country, whatsoever that country may be, they tend to be uglier. Okay, look at the British royal family, right? They only married other aristocrats, right? They're not attractive people. They're not attractive at all, The only one who was sort of like semi-attractive there was Diana. And Diana was, of course, the daughter of James Goldsmith, who was a Jewish financier. Because James Goldsmith had an affair with Diana's mother, and is likely the father. And look, if you look at pictures of James Goldsmith, he was a famous financier. He died quite some time ago. But look up pictures of him, when he was young, and compare those pictures to both William and Harry when they were young. And because William and Harry are, what's his name's, Prince Charles's kids, both of them, okay? That's clear as day. You look at a picture of them, and it's like fucking obvious, right? But look at pictures of those two guys, of William and Harry, and compare them to James Goldsmith. And then look at a woman named Jemima Khan, or Jemima Goldsmith. I don't know what name she's running with now, who was James Goldsmith's daughter. And look at that picture of her and compare that picture of her to Diana. They could be sisters. Okay, they look that similar. The only difference is the hair color. Okay, so anyway, the point I'm making is that, see, the royal family. I mean, look at Charles, look at Anne, look at all those fucking people. They're ugly. They're fucking ugly, right? You know, and you look at like 100% Finns. I knew some Finns, right? And 100% Laplanders, right? And 100% Swedes and so forth. And they're ugly. They're really fucking ugly. It's the mestizos, the half breeds, right? In the words of Cher's famous song, the mixed race people, they're the attractive ones. Like, remember Milli Vanilli, right? Both of those guys were mixed race, and they were handsome guys. Okay, yeah, they were very handsome guys. And you look at most mixed race people, and they're shitloads more attractive than 100% of whatever they're coming from. Bolivian women, same fucking thing. They're kind of ugly because they're like 100% Bolivian, So yeah, now here in Ukraine, most everybody here is half Russian, half Ukrainian, okay, or a mix and match between the two. And what's important is that the Ukrainians and the Russians, they might kind of look the same. I personally can't tell the difference, but they can tell the difference. And they are two different races. It's not only that they conceive of themselves as such, but they obviously immediately identify each other as such. So that might be the reason why Ukrainian women are so attractive. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not like a geneticist or any shit like that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. Yeah, like I find it kind of like weird talking about this stuff because like it's so interesting to me,
Sure.
but at the same time, it's so politically correct.
And
that's yeah, no, and that's what's interesting about it. You know what I mean? Like fuck all this political correctness shit. You know what I'm saying?
So anyway, Carlos, what's the last thing you got on your mind?
Yeah. So the last thing I have in my mind. So you mentioned about the tea leaves and about vaccine passports.
Yeah.
So so what's if the vaccines really are that bad, and like recently the one of the creators of the mRNA vaccine just said that basically that like for every 3 lives saved, 2 might die from the vaccine, and that was the creator, and
actually,
he has a paper.
Yeah, with younger people especially, it might be a lot more. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's still a pretty shocking estimate, even if it's conservative.
Mm-hmm.
So, which faction has the motivation of pushing the vaccine, like so relentlessly?
The pharmaceutical companies, because they're making money off the government. Sure.
But the thing is, like, don't they recognize the risk? And they don't
They
recognize
don't have any
that, like,
liability. They were shielded from liability for any side effects of the vaccine. It's a golden ticket for the pharmaceutical companies. They're going to make a shit ton of money off this fucking thing. Yeah. See?
And what about
if
I'm
a company and I'm shielded from any liability, I can give you fucking anything. I can give you cyanide capsules and claim that it's vaccine. What the fuck are you going to do? Nothing. You can't sue me. I got immunity. So fuck you. Give me your money. See, that's how it works. That's why it's fucking insane. Okay. And the fact that everybody's just going along with this shit and nobody is standing up. In fact, if you do stand up, they hammer you down like a nail that's sticking out, dude. I mean, look, I've thought a great deal about this issue of the vaccine. There is no upside for me to talk about it in public. None whatsoever. Okay. Because number one, any message I put out is going to be throttled. Number two, I'm going to be deplatformed if I talk about it. Okay. So there's no upside whatsoever. Okay. Though, of course, I am in favor of the vaccine and I think that you should take it. And I think that anybody who's so evil as to fake taking it and somehow convince some friendly doctor or some unscrupulous doctor, with a payoff to pretend that you took the vaccine is evil, 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 and you should never do it. You're evil if you do that. Okay, that's my official policy. But you got to understand. See, last year they started deplatforming people for making the very obvious inference that this virus probably came from the Wuhan Virology Institute. Come on, it's 500 feet away or 500 meters away. All right, It's only one of like 3 on the planet. Okay. There are only 3 of these fucking high level virology institutes. And this virus appeared right there. What the fuck? Come on. It was fucking obvious. But if you said that, you got deplatformed. You got deplatformed. You got your channel shuttered. Yeah, you're gone. Gone from social media. So yeah, and to what? Because there were a lot of people who did say the obvious, and they got, they got memory hold. They got vaporized. They got gone, right? And what was left of that? What was done? What effect did their resistance to this have? None whatsoever. I mean, zero. It didn't change a fucking thing. All they got was the satisfaction of saying, yeah, I told you so. But, is anybody going to give their channel back or their Twitter handle back or any shit like that? No, they're gone. And what happened? Nothing, So the smart thing is, it's not if you see something, say something. No, the smart thing is if you see something, keep it to yourself and tell closely guarded people about what you think. But don't spread the word. Of course not. It would be insane because you're going to get deplatformed and you'll get nothing out of it. Okay. And, if you go against the orthodoxy, then you're going to get into real trouble. Okay. And so that's why I'm telling you, you should take the vaccine like a good citizen. Take the vaccine. Don't be scared. It's just a little bit of an ouch and you might be sick a little bit for a few weeks or months maybe, or perhaps forever, but it doesn't matter. Take the vaccine. And for God's sakes, if you hear of anybody who unscrupulously got a fake vaccine, I urge you to denounce them because that kind of irresponsibility, dishonesty, it's an affront to science. It's an affront to every human being on the face of the planet. It's fucking evil and disgusting and despicable. That's my official policy. Okay. But you see the point.
Yeah, I definitely see the point.
Yeah.
No, that's one of the reasons why I actually left Canada, because some of my best friends have all been vaccinated, and they literally said if you're not vaccinated, don't come back. which is honestly it's pretty shocking. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but it's whatever.
Let's. I'm going to do a video. Okay. And this is totally different. This is a totally different topic. Okay. It's completely unrelated to anything that we've discussed so far. Okay. I'm going to do a video about thalidomide. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of thalidomide. I'm going to mention it once or twice on a weekly webinar. Thalidomide was a tranquilizer that was given to people. I do believe it has it's very useful for, I think, leprosy. I could be wrong or something like that. Anyway, thalidomide was approved in West Germany in 1958. And it was given to a lot of people, especially pregnant women. And what happened was that women who were pregnant, who took thalidomide, well, their babies were born seriously deformed. I mean, horrifyingly deformed, without arms or legs. Okay. Sometimes they had other internal problems that were so severe that the baby almost died almost immediately. Thank God. Other babies survived, I don't know if into adulthood, but they lived into childhood at least without any arms, or they'd have these little flippers for arms, these little stumps for legs, which is just a horrifying thing. And it took them, 5 years? 5 years from 1958 to 1963 before they finally pulled the drug. Okay? 5 fucking years. And they could see these effects early on. Okay? But of course, it wasn't immediate. You had to have some babies to be born, and enough babies to be born with this problem that people only then started to say, well, what the fuck is going on here? See? It took a long goddamn time. And then, and so I always think of thalidomide babies. Yeah. But this is completely unrelated to anything that we've been talking about. Okay? This is just a little anecdote that I want to pass along. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Carlos, man, great talking to you, man. You take it easy, okay?
Yes. Just one last thing, Coach. Are you still doing private consultations?
I beg your pardon?
Are you still doing private consultations?
Sure, sure. Just send me an email to coachredpill@gmail.com with all caps consultation in the subject matter. And but in the FAQ on Patreon, I have a page where I discuss private consultations. So go check it out. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, we'll do so. Thank you, Coach.
No problem. Take it easy, man. Hey, Carmen, how's it going? Carmen, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. What's up? What's on your mind?
My question is, how do you think China is going to deal with the population decline problem? Recently, they have like a 3-child policy, but the problem is nobody wants to have kids because in
Well,
main
yeah,
cities,
the Chinese government will probably institute some sort of payoff scheme. You know, you have 2 babies, you get X amount of money. You get 3 babies, you get Y. And if you have more than 3, if you have 4 or more, then they'll give you like boatloads more. Something like that. They'll come up with something like that. Because the Chinese government, they're pretty pragmatic about this kind of shit. And they'll have some sort of baby boom before you know it. Yeah. I think that they just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I mean, the Chinese, it seems to an outside observer. I don't know if you're ethnically Chinese.
I am. I live in Vancouver, Canada right now.
Okay. Well, one of the things I've noticed is that the Chinese leadership, starting with Deng Xiaoping, they are extraordinarily pragmatic. And once they identify a problem, they don't fuck around. Okay. They don't like try to argue their way out of reality. Okay. And so right now, the demographic issue is pretty obvious to everybody, including themselves, right? And they'll probably start like to say to themselves, you know something? We've made a hunk of money. We're doing real well. Why don't we just like start opening the money spigot and paying people to have more babies? And that's how it'll happen, you know? Yeah. And they'll do it like, you know, maybe some tax credit or maybe some outright payment or something like that. I think that a lot of governments are going to realize that that's the smart thing when their demography is contracting, and especially countries such as China, such as Japan, that are essentially xenophobic. I mean, in China, they don't want non-Chinese there. They don't want to import Africans or Middle Easterners or some shit like that. They want more Chinese, right? Japanese are the same fucking way. And so, yeah, they're going to come up with some scheme like that. I think that the Koreans who are suffering the same thing, I do believe that they are below 1 child per woman, okay, which is a disaster. I mean, that's fucking catastrophic. That's, you know, that's demographic oblivion. I think it's 0.82 children per 1 woman, okay? I mean, that's demographic oblivion in just a few generations, right? And so I don't know if the Koreans are going to do anything about it, because they tend to be more Western in that regard, of being kind of wishy-washy and trying to pretend away the problems that they have. But the Japanese, they're fairly pragmatic, and the Chinese, fuck yeah, they're pragmatic. So I think that they'll institute some scheme like that in the not too distant future. Yeah, that's what I think.
And that's the only question I have. Thank you, Coach.
Oh, no problem. Why that question specifically?
Well, because of one of the webinar you talked about, like, you know, how the cooperation between China and Russia, they're gonna have like a lot of power in the world in the future. But my question is, even, you know, China win economically, if they don't, you know, pop up their population, it's gonna be like, you know, there is no purpose, right? That's why I asked this question.
Well, yeah, but they have 1.4 billion people, man. I mean, it's not like they're gonna fucking vanish in 10 years, okay? I mean, that's not gonna happen, okay? Yeah, it's a demographic problem, but it's not an insurmountable problem, okay? And for various reasons, at this time, it might actually be beneficial to them for them to have a relatively low population growth. See, because you got to keep in mind the Chinese economy is growing by leaps and bounds, right? The per capita income is increasing every fucking year by at least 5%, 6%, right? Over the last 30 years, they're growing by leaps and bounds. Okay, and so if you look at it like with a long view, it would actually be very smart to more or less limit population growth and keep slow and steady as she goes, and try to grow the individual GDP. And once the individual GDP starts plateauing, only then start having like incentives to have more babies and thereby grow the population. Okay. It would actually make, I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, I'd actually never thought about it until you brought up the question, but just thinking about it, blue skying it, sort of like back of the envelope kind of thing, it makes a hell of a lot of sense to increase the per capita GDP irrespective of the overall population, but that each individual's GDP is growing until it reaches that plateau level. Because once the individual GDP, per capita income plateaus, that'll be, the whole country will be plateauing. But if you have a baby boom, all of a sudden, all those babies, anybody who's had a kid will tell you, man, you spend money like there's no fucking tomorrow when you have a baby. I mean, money just becomes like a fucking spigot that you're spewing out there to buy all kinds of crap for the kid, right? You know, you buy diapers, you buy this, that, you take them to the doctor, all kinds of expenses that you never imagined, like fucking shoes, man. You go through shoes like there's no tomorrow because little kids' feet are growing like crazy. And shoes are surprisingly expensive, baby shoes, you know. It's really kind of shocking how expensive baby shoes are. So anyway, the point is that, see, if thinking about it, it would make a lot of sense for the Chinese government to sort of like more or less limit population growth, but expand the per capita GDP. And once the per capita GDP has tapered off, then have a big push to have a lot of babies, because with a big push with a lot of babies, you'd have this wave of consumption. And it would make sense to push for that wave of consumption once the Chinese economy starts moving away from this total export driving machine, you know, like maybe in 20 years from now, it would make a lot of sense, actually. I mean, thinking about it, it would make a hell of a lot of sense, you know? Yeah, because right now their population growth is pretty much flatlined. But once they get the individual GDP up, yeah, have more babies, pump up the whole economy, really grow it to the fucking moon. Yeah. And it would actually be like the perfect time to do it would be when the Chinese economy surpasses the American economy by 2026, 2028, something like that. It'll, in all intents and purposes, whatever the exact year it'll be before the year 2030. Okay. And so if you hit 2030 and you're the largest economy, and then you put the pedal to the metal and really foment women having children, man, your economy is going to explode in size, and you're really going to leave everybody behind in the dust. Yeah, if I had to bet that's what they're going to do. That sounds like a reasonable guess at this time, actually. I hadn't thought of it. Thanks for bringing this up, Carmen. I really appreciate it. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, that's the only question I have. Thanks for your time, Coach.
No problem. Take it easy, man. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Michael Mout. Hey, Michael, how's it going?
It's great to see you again.
Hang on a second. Hang on. If you're once you're off the question, please step out of the studio so other people can join in. Okay. Okay, Michael, how's it going? Sorry about that.
It's great to see you. I was the guy who was in Portland. I moved from Portland. I took your advice. I found the Persian girl. I'm currently in Bodrum, Turkey. Quite the party city. Unfortunately, they shut it down for COVID, but what can you do? Yeah. Well, Coach, I'm in a weird situation in my life. One of the reasons that I was drawn to you so much was you had a YouTube video where you talked about well, I don't think you talked about, I think you referred to your father, and then it might have been on Patreon where you talked about your relationship with your father. And the reason is because I'm in such a similar situation with mine. It blows my mind. I've never actually met someone where I was like, wow. My father's the same thing, multimillionaire, runs a successful business, has a lot of things going for him. Problem, he just lets off all this emotional stuff. And of course, I've closely watched and rewatched actually a lot of your videos on this topic. But here's where my question comes in. I'm at a point in my life where, I'm sitting on some money, and I worked hard for it, and none of it came from him. I'll tell you that. But definitely, I'm at a point now where it's like, I thought, much as I guess you did in your 30s, where you were talking about, well, I want to, see if I can, go and meet up with my father and try to, mend things. And, I'm having kind of the same concerns. It's that it's not only that it's not really doing anything for me, but it's like apologies are cheap. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, man. You know what I mean? Like they treated me horribly when I was a kid. And, I was adopted and whatever, but the point is, right, like, I don't really know how to kind of handle that, and
Look,
I'm
Michael,
at a loss. I feel like people would gain from, hearing,
Michael, you were adopted? At
I was
what age?
adopted.
At
Three.
what age?
3.
Okay, and so you always knew that you were adopted, right?
Yes.
And did your father have other kids, natural kids?
Yes, he had natural kids, and they very much so favored them.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. I mean, I hate to be the asshole, but
You're not.
Okay. I mean, it'd be easy to say all kinds of bullshit. But look, bottom line, see, you have to understand there are some people who can adopt children, and they truly feel that they're their own. Okay.
Yeah.
And some can't. Okay. Like, Steve Jobs, he was adopted, right? And by Mr. Jobs, I forget the name of the gentleman, right? And
Sure.
Steve Jobs, it was a really interesting relationship because Steve Jobs, from Walter Isaacson's biography, which is authorized, right? It said that Steve Jobs realized very young that he was a lot smarter and more capable than his adoptive parents. Yeah. But his adoptive parents made a lot of sacrifices and did everything possible to help him succeed. And, they were like really good parents. And there's a picture of Steve Jobs I saw once of Steve Jobs as an adult after he was a big multimillionaire and shit with Apple and all that crap. And he's with his adoptive father. And it was very obvious that it was a very tight relationship, right? See, some guys are lucky that way, okay? And some aren't. And there's nothing you can do about it. And look, and the thing is also, what I've noticed is that, see, children, it's easy to fall in love with children, fall in love in a non-perverted sex way. I'm talking about like just, meeting some 3-year-old child, for instance, and just finding the kid adorable and loving to play with the kid and stuff like that. Okay. It's much harder to have those kinds of emotions with grown people, with adults. Okay. So my thinking is, if an adopted parent rather didn't form that tight bond with you as a child, it's not going to happen as an adult. Okay. And you just have to leave that shit behind you. It's tough and hard, perhaps hard in the sense of like difficult, and also hard in the sense of being just cold, but it's necessary for your own well-being, because all that crap, you're just going to be dragging it behind you, right? All the crap of your adoptive father doing this or saying that or treating you like dirt, especially when you had the point of comparison of seeing how he treated his natural kids. And if it was as different as you're saying, right?
Yeah.
And shit, man. I mean, you're never going to get over that shit. Okay. And look, you got to understand something. I am a firm believer in denial, repression, and just like clearing the decks, right? I'm a firm believer of it because it fucking works. Okay. I mean, what exactly is the point of going over and over and over all the bullshit that happened? It doesn't serve any purpose, right?
Can I ask you a separate question, actually?
Sure.
I think you're right. I think you're definitely onto something. But I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to interrupt, but I did want to point one thing out. If you were in your 30s and your dad offered you some money, would you have taken it? Like, let's say he was like, "Oh, I'll buy you a house or something."
What does he want from it?
Probably some sort of control, a sense of control, I suppose. Yeah.
And do you want to give that up? Do you want to be somebody's bitch? See, because it really is. Do you want to be somebody's bitch? That's what's going on. You know, it's hey, and some people, they don't mind being somebody's bitch for a free house. You know, but you got to figure out. You know, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, who am I? You know, am I that guy? Okay, I personally no, I wouldn't. How can I put it? I'll tell you, I would take money if I didn't have money and I needed it for my kids and my family. Then I'd take it, sure. Because when you have the responsibility of your own family, you don't have any kind of dignity, okay? Nothing is beneath you, okay? Because you're looking after the best interests of other people that you love.
Yeah.
And so if you were, let's say hypothetically, you had like, say, 2-3 kids, right? And a wife, and some business deal you were involved in blew up and you just lost your shirt, right? And your old man comes along and says, I'll give you a free house. Take it. Yeah. And all you have to do is, you know, come to, you know, have like a family day every Sunday. Fine. I'd do it, sure. Because it would be for the benefit of my 2 kids and wife. Okay.
Yeah.
But if it's just me, fuck you. I don't need that shit. I'd rather eat dirt personally. Okay.
Right.
And so you gotta figure out, you know, your priorities, because dignity, okay, and pride are all good and fine if nobody else is paying the piper. If you're the one bearing the cost, then it's all good and fine. Okay. But if you are, if other people depend on you, then you can't afford dignity. Okay. I mean, I'm giving this greater answer because it's not just for you, but also for the people listening. See?
Yeah.
You got to understand that dignity is a luxury, and it's a luxury that you can only really incur when you're on your own. Okay. And some people realize that sometimes it's better to eat a little shit and get ahead, because maybe they eat shit now so that later they don't have to eat shit. Okay. That's another calculation that you have to make. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes some people realize, you know something, look, I'm never going to have an opportunity like having a free house. So I'll eat the shit, even though it's just me, but I'll eat shit and sacrifice my dignity because I'll be getting a free house. Sure. And I know I'll never get it in the future. I mean, that's a rational calculation. Okay.
Sure.
But yeah.
Coach, can I ask you a separate question as well?
Sure.
You know, so as I mentioned, I came into some money. I'm currently sitting on, I don't know, 1 to 1.5 mil, which sounds like a lot probably to some
Why
of you guys.
Bitcoin?
It's not. Well, I'm
not giving any advice. I'm not giving any advice. Okay.
You got me before I ask my question. Yeah, go ahead. Here's what I was going to ask, a derivative of that question, actually. Sure. Look, and literally, you'll get the pun. I'm looking at options, actually, like leveraged options for Bitcoin. Obviously, these things are risky, but Coach, 1.5 is just not enough to live on. I know it sounds like a lot, but you know
it's not enough to live on, but it's more than plenty to buy, like, say, 3 nice apartments that are income producing. That, you know, 3 nice apartments that can generate, say, $700 each in rent. No problem. Yeah. Okay, that's $2,100 a month in rental income that you're not having to do fucking shit, and you're getting this money. You know, I mean, I don't quite understand how you're looking at it as like chump change. It's a shit ton of money. I mean, if you're getting, you know, like what, 5% off of that, 5% of $1.5 million is $75,000. Okay, if you can find an investment, and you can find an investment that delivers 5% yearly, that's $75,000 fucking dollars. That's what, $6,000 a month, $6,250 a month. Dude, lots of people wish that they had $6,200 a month to live on. Okay, so you shouldn't be looking at it like, oh, it's just peanuts. It's a lot of money, man. And invest it wisely, and invest it soon. Because one of the things I wanted to discuss, right, is I've been giving this whole, you know, Bill Gates buying farmland and BlackRock buying properties and shit. Yeah, it's an inflation play. Both of these guys, Bill Gates and BlackRock, they figure that inflation is on the way. So the smart thing to do is get out of cash and get into real assets, i.e. either commodities, but commodities, it's always tricky, or buildings, or like houses and farmlands, because that shit isn't going anywhere. And notice that BlackRock is not going into commercial real estate. because they know that that play is over because of work from home. You know, I mean, those offices in New York City, they're never going to get rented again. Certainly not at the prices that they were getting before. See, so
yeah, that's my problem, Coach. Everything looks so expensive. I mean, I'm looking at the stock market. I'm looking even at real estate. I mean, everything is just so pricey right now, man. I mean, I was in Austin looking at houses. I was looking in Miami. Everything is just pricey, and sure, Austin, Miami, whatever. But, you know, everything except for crypto to me, it just looks insane. This sounds crazy, I'm sure, but it looks insanely risky. I mean,
well, I've always thought that one of the great places to buy real estate is, and this is me personally, okay, I'm not making any kind of advice.
Sure.
Not like the hot cities, but the cities where people always go, like Las Vegas. Okay. Las Vegas is a great place, I think. Okay. Also, Nevada doesn't have any state income tax. Okay. So any income that you derive from rental property is going to be free of state income tax. And I don't think that the property taxes are that high in Nevada. I could be wrong. I don't actually know. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, look, see, you're in an enviable position. And so the idea of going into what is in all respects and purposes, intents and purposes, gambling, which is what options trading is, it's gambling. That's what it is. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Options in any asset class, be it commodities, being it currencies, being in crypto, it's gambling, okay? It's foolish, okay? Unless you know exactly what the fuck you're doing and you're on top of that motherfucker 24/7, dude, it's just fucking gambling. I would never do it, okay? Because I've done it and I lost my shirt, okay? And I learned my lesson, and I am never getting into options, okay? Unless I'm like super, super confident. The fact is, my biggest profit day in my life was March 16th, 2020, because I got into options in early February. But the options as a total percentage of my net worth accounted for about 7-8%. And the options, I wound up making more money than I ever had in my life. It was the one greatest trade of my life. Okay.
Yeah.
Or series of trades, but you know what I mean. And because I figured that this COVID shit would have supply chain disruptions. So I shorted the market, and lo and behold, the market just cratered, right? By March 16th. And my counterparties bought my options off of me because they were so panicked. They were thinking that there was this was a never-ending hole. And so they bought my my positions, and then lo and behold, 3 days later, the Fed starts the money spigot, and the markets just like went right back up. It was the greatest trade of my life. It was pure luck. It was pure luck. I mean, it was smart of me to be paying attention to the whole COVID thing before it became national news, or it was already national, but before it really broke. You know what I'm saying? It was smart of me. But at the same time, it was blind luck. And it was blind luck that my counterparties so lost their nerve that they offered me absurd prices to take my positions. And just the dumb luck that I literally sold at the bottom of the market, which is like the perfect moment. I mean, it was, but it was blind luck. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm honest enough to say to you that, would I do it again? Yeah, sure. I'd make the same trade because it was a smart trade, but it was lucky. Okay. And if the counterparties had waited just a little bit more, if they waited, basically, I figured it out. If they'd waited like about 10 trading days, I would have gotten zero. My positions would have been wiped out. And if I'd held on to my positions, like I figured out that it was like 6 weeks after that, I would have been wiped out. Okay. Because my exposure would have been so big that I would have been margined, and that would have been that. I would have been up Schitt's Creek. Okay. It was blind fucking luck. Okay. And you can't count on luck. That's why options trading, never do it. Never do it. Okay. That's my recommendation.
I'm sorry. And I just wanted to clarify on the what you were talking about. Have you ever played with leverage? What do you think of leverage?
Yeah, leverage of basically what leverage is, for those of you who don't know, leverage is basically taking on debt in order to execute a trading position. I think it's fucking insane. Okay. I mean, it's fucking insane because you got to know exactly what the fuck you're doing. Okay. And even when you know exactly what you're doing, you can still get fucked over. You could still get hurt badly. See,
That's what I've heard. There's a lot of things you might not know, and it's just there's always kind of something. And
look,
yeah.
I always think of long-term capital management. You heard of that firm? Okay, it blew up in 1996. I remember it very well, or 98, I forget. Long-term capital management was an outfit started by John Merriweather, who was a big-time bond trader at Salomon Brothers during the 80s. He was discussed in Michael Lewis's very good book, Liar's Poker. And John Merriweather is considered widely to have been the greatest bond trader in history. The guy was just a fucking maniac, right? He knew what the fuck he was doing. He knew what he was doing, okay? Long-term capital management was the firm that he founded, and he ran it. And he had not one, he had two Nobel Prize winners in economics on his board, okay? Bluest of the blue chip hedge funds. He knew exactly what the fuck he was doing. He had the biggest brains on Wall Street, a bunch kinds of PhD people, right, running that show. Long story short, in 1998, they blew up. They knew exactly what the fuck they were doing, and they blew up. They had to be bailed out by a consortium of banks organized by the Federal Reserve. The losses were so big, the exposure was so huge, that the Fed had to put together a syndicate of banks to bail out long-term capital management. Okay, that's how big the catastrophe was. Okay, most people who don't know financial history have never heard of long-term capital management. Look it up.
Of course,
those fuckers knew what they were doing, and they were leveraged to the hilt, and they blew up. The trade went the wrong way, and that was that. See, so if they blew up them, why do you think that you're gonna know better? Okay, if I sound very conservative, it's because I am. See?
Yeah. I mean, but coach, I mean, as you know, risk allocation, and of course this isn't financial advice. I'm just saying risk allocation is typically done. They say be more risky when you're young, right? I mean, do you think that there's some truth to that? I mean, no.
It's be risky when you're young, when you don't have shit. But once you have something, then because most people who are young don't have shit. So yeah, if you risk it, you're not going to lose anything except time, right?
Yeah.
You're saying you're sitting on a little nest egg of $1.5 million, right? How old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay. You're a lucky son of a gun. So the smart thing is to invest in some very boring and tedious apartments, like these 1 bedrooms or several efficiency apartments. You can pick them up at, anywhere from, I don't know, 150,000 to 250,000. You can buy a bunch of them, and you can easily rent those fuckers out, for $400, $500, $600, right?
Yeah.
You buy a number of those apartments. It's boring. It's not sexy. It's not cool. But dude, you're going to be walking away with between $60,000 to $75,000 a year in income. Let me ask you something. What could you do with an income, a steady income of between $5,000 and $6,500 a month? $5,000 to $6,500 a month.
Maybe I could afford to live in Bodrum.
Afford what? Sorry?
I said maybe I could afford to live in Bodrum. This place is more expensive than I was expecting, but yes, I understand. Of course, I can do a lot with. I mean, I could live almost anywhere.
So don't be greedy, okay? Don't be greedy because, look, most people lose their money because they're either they buy stupid shit that they don't need, or because they figure that they must be so smart because they got this money, and money makes you feel smart. When you have a lot of zeros in your bank account, you think to yourself, man, I must be so fucking smart because I got all this money, right? And so you do stupid bets and you lose. Okay? I'm telling you. Yeah. You take it easy, Michael. Good luck with your money thing.
I will. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
No problem. Hey, Daniel, how's it going? Daniel, you there? Daniel. I guess Daniel isn't there. Let me bring on Lewis. Lewis, how's it going? Hello,
hey,
Lewis.
Coach.
Hey, how's it going?
So I had a question, and maybe I should bring it like this.
Sure.
Imagine that we would have kind of a thalidomide problem today where people could die from taking it. You kind of get what I mean?
What? What? I'm sorry?
A thalidomide.
Oh, yeah.
and a lot of people are taking it,
Yeah.
and they have a high risk of dying. How imagining that everyone having taken the thalidomide dying, how would that affect the economy? And also considering
No,
what
man.
kind of people
I
would
don't
take it.
know. I don't know. I mean, there's so many variables that's impossible to predict. Okay. So yeah, that kind of open-ended hypothetical, you know, you just start writing a novel and make up stuff. It could be anything. Okay. So yeah, that's I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
If a whole bunch of people started dropping that, you know, or what happens if you know, because of taking this thalidomide or whatever, you know, women can't get pregnant anymore. Hmm?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be like children of men kind of shit, right? So who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah, we'll see what where it goes. But you know, that's too open-ended. Any other question on your mind, Lewis?
No, that was it.
Oh, that was it. Okay, well,
Yeah.
you
But
take it. Yeah,
we'll
go
have
ahead.
to see then, man.
We will definitely see how it goes, but God knows what's going to happen. Yeah,
Have a nice day.
take it easy, man. AC, you there? Hello, AC. Let me see if Daniel sorted out his. Who's this? Daniel or AC?
This is AC.
Okay. Hey AC, how's it going? Daniel,
Hey,
I'll
good, how
I'll
are you?
hit you up when you after AC. AC, so what's on your mind, man?
Yeah, I kind of left it open ended. I mean, I was kind of like a bitch and didn't really ask a question.
Okay.
Oh, it was the
I don't
comment was about.
I didn't read the comment because I realize I can't focus on the chat and focus on the questions. I get distracted, and so I don't answer the questions. So I'm not paying attention to the chat, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
tell
like
me.
in the thread I mentioned, like it seems like there's a lot of hedonism in the red pill community. Like, and some people are good about that, and some aren't. It seems.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean specifically by hedonism and by the red pill community.
Just people encouraging not having kids, getting a vasectomy, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I'm totally against that. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
totally against that because, like, see,
It
having
comes from.
children. Yeah, where does it come from? It comes from selfishness. It's not complicated, you know. A lot of guys they figure, oh, I'll have a vasectomy. You know, I'll just like live my life. But see, you gotta understand something. It's all good and fine when you're young to be quote unquote living for yourself, but you will have baby rabies, no different from a woman. Okay, you will want to have kids of your own. It's inevitable. It happens to every guy. Okay, it certainly happened to me in my 40s. Like I remember very clearly, like at 40, 42, all of a sudden I was like, you know, I want kids. I want a family of my own because I had like some nieces and nephews. And I would take them here and take them there. A couple of times I took them skiing, right? Because I was living in Santiago and the ski resort is just, you know, an hour's drive away roughly. And yeah, it was great, you know, hanging out with my kids, my nieces and nephews rather. But then all of a sudden I'm like, you know, I don't want just to have, you know, just be the cool uncle. I want kids of my own. And yeah, I went and got myself a woman and had a few kids, you know. And that's the thing. See, once you have kids of your own, it's a completely different perspective and you feel much more satisfied with your life because you have a purpose now. Okay. And living a hedonistic life is a lot of fun for a while, but then it gets boring. It's like this. Let me give you an example. When you're young and you don't have any money, you dream of all the things you're going to buy when you get money. And then when you finally get some money, you buy all that shit. But after a while, you're like, I don't really need it. Okay. Like today I was early this morning, I was doing some personal finance shit. And I was like teeing up the cash I had on hand and doing this and that, you know, the typical crap that you have to do, paying bills and whatnot. And I realized that, I set some money aside for like, the typical money because, we're coming up on July. And I set aside the money for like unpredicted expenses and or, fucking around money kind of thing, right? And I realized that there was absolutely nothing that I wanted to buy. I just didn't want to buy anything, okay? Just no interest whatsoever. What happens is that fucking around and having a good time, it's great for a while, but then all of a sudden you get to a point where you're like, I don't really feel like going to a party. I don't really feel like, doing that shit anymore. It's because it's boring, because I've done it. Just like when I was younger, I spent money on a whole bunch of different shit, clothes and cars and this and that, the typical, okay? And then now at this age, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to get, okay? I mean, I look through my Instagram feed, right? And periodically I get these adverts for some, very expensive furniture or some shit like that. For some reason, I get like a lot of, I get these Instagram ads for shit here in Ukraine, obviously, because it's location dependent, but it's a lot of furniture for some reason, okay? And I guess they must peg me as somebody who would buy furniture, but I look at it and I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, it's a pretty table. What the fuck am I going to do with this fucking thing, right? Do I need it? No, I don't. So I don't buy it, see? Okay, same thing happens with having a good time and fucking around, okay? And once you have kids, you find fulfillment, okay? But the thing is that you have to want to have kids, and it has to come at an age when you're ready for them. And see, a lot of guys who are in their 20s and 30s even, they're not ready for them, okay? They got to get the partying out of them, okay? So my suggestion is party as much as you want, but be aware that you'll hit an age where you want to have a family of your own. Yeah. And insofar as doing a vasectomy or some shit like that, fuck no. I beg your pardon?
I'm 35. I feel kind of old sometimes, but I guess I'm not really, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, but do you have this need for kids of your own?
I guess so. I mean, I also feel like it can't wait, though.
Yeah, no, and then you say, I guess so, then you haven't felt it. See?
Okay.
Because when it hits, you're going to know. You're going to be like, oh, man, I want one, okay? It's sort of like when you, lay eyes on like a really cool car and you're like, fuck man, I want to buy that now, like that. You'll know, okay? And it'll hit you like all of a sudden, okay? If it hasn't hit you, don't worry about it. Just, but don't do anything irreversible, okay? Never do anything irreversible, okay? Yeah. And what other kind of hedonism do these, these other red pillars advocate? I'm curious.
I'm not really sure. It's hard to say. Just like fuck the world, I guess, or I don't know.
Well, they're nihilists, basically. I mean, they're saying that there's no meaning to life. Life is meaningless, so we should just have a good time and fuck the world. Is that basically it?
Yeah, just fuck hot chicks, basically.
Yeah, that gets tedious. Okay. Also, what happens is you got to understand that a lot. I'm not thinking of anybody specifically. Okay. And I'm not shitting on anybody specifically because I don't want to feel, I'm not interested in starting drama. But see, a lot of people who are quote unquote red pillars, they're trying to sell something, okay? And they're trying to sell it to a particular demographic. And that particular demographic is sexually unsuccessful men, okay? I mean, I've always been very clear as to what I was trying to do. I was basically trying to give a perspective of an older man to younger guys so as to give them sort of like a leg up, sort of like crib notes as to what will happen in their lives. I'm not really trying to sell anybody on anything, okay? I mean, like, shit, I put my Patreon, but what the fuck are you going to find on Patreon? More of this shit, or more of basically, this is the perspective that you will have at different stages of your life. And this is how you should approach a problem in a pragmatic way so that you get the most benefit out of it, right? That's basically what I'm selling, quote unquote. But a lot of these red pillars, a lot of the black pill community, they are basically mirroring the nihilism and, dare I say, hopelessness of a lot of young guys who feel that they don't have the women that they desire, and they feel miserable, and they want somebody to mirror back at them their feelings of misery. So you got to understand what's going on. You got to understand that a lot of these red pillars, they're catering to this audience. And the fact that you're not responding to them and that you're kind of like rejecting them, that speaks very well of you.
I mean, I'm personally not like that. It is disheartening, though, to see a whole bunch of people in the red pill community kind of like try to lure people in with that stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Perhaps I suppose what's happening to me as of late, especially, is that I understand what's going on. And I feel a bit sorry for the people who are in that particular dance, because on the one hand, you have these red pillars who are selling this nihilism, and these nihilistic kids who are buying it so that they can feel better about the misery of their lives. And it's easier to commiserate with somebody else, even if it's a paid employee, basically, than it is to say, okay, I'm miserable with my life. What can I do to change it and to improve my life? I mean, it's a lot easier to complain than to fix something. You know what I'm saying? And so I understand what's going on, and I feel a little bit sorry for all the participants. I certainly don't want to be involved in that shit at all, you know? So yeah, so I look at it, I understand it, I feel sorry for everybody, and I just disengage. And I would suggest that you do the same. If you see these red pillars that are like wallowing in misery and whatnot, and inviting you to join in that misery, if you're not up for that shit, don't join. Just tune them out. That's my thinking.
All right.
Okay. Anything else on your mind, AC?
Not right now. Yeah, thanks for the talk.
Yeah, my pleasure, AC. Take it easy, you know. Hey, Anthony, how's it going? Anthony? Anthony, you there? Anthony needs to turn on his mic. Oh, wait. Let me just make sure that I don't have it muted. No, wait. Did I mute you by accident? Oh, Anthony's device got disconnected. He's hooking back on. Arthur, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, Anthony, when you get back on, I'll bring you back on. Arthur, how's it going? Wait a second. Anthony, this will be the second time that I've kicked him for later. Sorry, Anthony, but fix your shit. Arthur, how's it going? Sorry about that. What's on your mind?
Hi, Coach. Thank you for your videos. I really, really like them. So my question is, I'll be 30 soon, in a couple of months, and I feel a little bit, I would say, anxious or depressed, because I realized that like half of my life, or even maybe a little less, have passed, but I didn't accomplish much. You know, I wanted a lot more, and I'm started to think, how should I, as you were talking about the mountaintop in your life, right? And I realized it's incredibly complicated task. It's really hard to just choose one thing, because I have to refuse other options or ideas, or projects. And I oftentimes hear you saying to guys who are in their middle 20s that, hey, just say yes to everything. So I'm wondering, what should I choose in my 30s? Like, should I say yes to every project? Should I say, like, choose only one project no matter what? And actually, I'm asking, like, in general.
Focus. That's what you have to do. Yeah, I know exactly how you're feeling. I remember when I was like a little past 29, I started panicking. I started feeling very similar to what you're describing. And there were other things going on in my life at the time, but I felt I had not accomplished much, and I was very unhappy, and I didn't know where to go. And yeah, it's precisely that feeling that, you know, once you hit 30, you're like, okay, playtime is over. Okay, I'm like a fucking adult. I'm in my 30s. What the fuck, right? And you start panicking a little bit. Okay, it's kind of natural, especially when you're sort of like not going in any place in particular, which is how I felt at the time. Even though I had a career as a novelist, but I was very, very unhappy as a novelist and very dissatisfied with my life. And it was actually a really shitty time, now that I remember it. 1997 was one of the worst years of my life, to tell you the truth. Even though I was sitting on a mountain of money and everything from the outside should have been going great guns, I was very, very unhappy, totally unmotivated. So I know where you're coming from. What you should do is you should focus on whatever. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes it is better to pick the wrong thing or the not totally 100% perfect thing than to not pick anything. Indecision is worse than a not optimal decision. See? And so you should focus on whatever is at hand, whatever gives you some satisfaction and some money. Focus on that. and stop fucking around, because you see, you hit 30 and it's time to grow up, and yeah, it's as simple as that. See.
So it means that no risky business, I would suppose, meaning
No,
risky things.
It can be extremely risky.
Mhm,
That's not the point. The issue is not the issue of risk, and of course, it's very obvious that the more risk, the more reward. No, risk is not the issue. It's the issue of focus, because what's probably happened up to you now, you're about to hit 30, and you've just tried a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You haven't really focused on anything in particular. Am I right?
That's exactly right. I tried different things, and I got fairly good at it. It's not like I'm stupid or unprofessional.
Yeah. You got fairly competent in each of these different things.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the problem. You see, if you had sucked at all of them except like the one thing, we would not be having this conversation. Okay.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what the one thing was. You could, if you'd been sucking at a whole bunch of different things, and there was just one thing that you were good at, being fucking garbage man, okay? Then you'd be saying, hey, I'm going to focus on being a garbage man because that's the only thing I seem to be good at, and fuck off with all the rest of the shit. And you and I would not be talking about this shit.
Yeah.
The problem is that you're capable enough that you succeeded or were doing well in a number of different things. And so the issue becomes cost of opportunity. Cost of opportunity is, of course, what is the price of a decision? It's all the other things that you are no longer able to do. So that's cost of opportunity. And so what you have to do here is decide with a little bit of ruthlessness, decide, okay, I'm capable in all these different things, but I'm going to have to focus on just the one thing. What is that thing? And just hone in on that and do that and just focus on that. I mean, you have to decide. It's like this. It's like you're no, I'm not going to make a metaphor because I think that you get the picture.
I got it. It's precisely on point, because if I'll be bad at everything, I'll be incredibly easy to select something or like one thing. So like it's like sort of like 1.1 question. So during that time that you were focusing, did you focused on peripheral skills like talking to people or like learning languages or like?
No.
Okay.
I was all in on the one thing.
Oh God. Okay.
The specifics was I was like doing my film production company. That's that was the thing that I pursued. Yeah.
Okay.
I pursued it through most of my 30s. Yeah. Once I figured out that that's what I wanted to do, I pursued it, and I didn't do anything extraneous to that, except I was dating and I was kind of getting sort of serious about dating somebody, but for various reasons, I decided not to pursue it, which retrospectively was, I don't know if it was a good decision or a bad decision at this point, to tell you the truth.
That's
but I my focus was just the one thing, and I didn't do anything peripheral to that. And also what will happen is that once you find your thing, you're going to be like a dog with a bone. You're going to have no thought of anything else outside of that thing. That thing will just totally consume you. And you won't even be thinking about wasting your time on some other shit unless it is of direct benefit to the thing that you're pursuing. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just want to make it sure that I understand you. Is that so? You said you brought an example that you were making a movie. So, and it's a one project that has like you would be exercising different skills, like cameraman skills or like photography skills, right? In that one project. So I guess that's the diversity that is okay, right? You mean focusing on project, like delivering something or like a product. Is that?
I don't understand your question.
Okay, so sorry that I sound unclear. What I meant is that filmmaking is one project, and it includes a lot of different sub skills that you need to have. So if I would choose like a project that I will be making, and inside of it, I would have to exercise the different skills. That's okay. I'm
Yeah,
not
sure.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So my second question, if you don't mind, is exactly about dating. I have, since I realized that I'm in my be approaching 30s, I have trouble dating because started working quite a lot, and I just don't have any time or energy
Yeah.
to date anyone.
Yeah,
And
that happens. Mhm.
yeah, so I'm thinking about, first thing is, okay, I don't mind marrying someone, but it involves, like, you have to date with a person for several years, right? So is that okay? Like, what's the time when I should be like, uh, to be honest, 45, 42, I think you said like 42, it's okay
Sure.
to, but I feel like it's a little bit like late.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so it's okay for me. It won't be wrong for me to start thinking about that like at 37 or something. What do you think? Or it's
No,
too early?
no, it's whenever you are comfortable with it. Okay.
Okay.
Look, if you got your money making shit organized and you're on your way, you're making good bank, and everything is copacetic,
Mm-hmm.
then sure, pursue a girl, or pursue multiple women, or however many you feel like pursuing. Look, see, none of this is like carved in stone. Okay, you
Sure,
have to
sure, yeah.
exercise some judgment as to what works
Mm-hmm.
for you. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because each guy is different.
Sure, sure. I'm not asking what to do. I'm just asking like your like view rather.
No,
Um,
it's whenever it works for you. Yeah.
yeah. So recently I got approached by accidentally by certain type of women that
Huh?
they were like sugar girls
Huh?
or sugar babies, I think. And it I got so excited because not because like the sex thing was like so I was interested in, it was like the ease of just doing that. Like it was like snap of fingers and the problem is gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, but on the other hand, I'll be like morally degrading, like into this some kind of yeah, I mean, you know what I mean. And how wrong would I be if I would choose to,
I have a
you know,
baby.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, basically a paid girlfriend. That's what it basically is.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that the whole sugar dating thing is very interesting because it blurs the line between prostitution and having a kept woman or something. It's very interesting. Look, bottom line, that kind of situation, um, if it's convenient, why not? You guys know that I'm not against prostitution. Okay. Um, I I think too that I I do believe that there are different possibilities insofar as the sugar dating world is concerned. I think that some women there are straight up prostitutes, and some of the guys there are just looking for a prostitute, and for something sort of like a regular prostitution hookup, but just prostitution, right? And then I think that there are genuinely some women who like older guys, and the kind of sugar dating is very convenient to finding guys who are older and got their shit together. Then there are, I think, women who are financially desperate, who get on dating sites because they need money fast. And those are the ones who, of course, are not interested in an older guy, and they're not really prostitutes, but they don't really know how to make some quick money. That's what I think are the likelihood of the various categories of sugar baby. Okay, but so the ones who are going to be like who are going to be desperate for money, it's going to be pretty obvious. The ones who are straight up prostitutes, that's going to be pretty obvious. And the ones who are interested in an older guy, and just like older guys and don't know how to meet older guys except through a site like that, yeah, that's going to be pretty obvious. So yeah, try it out, see what happens.
Yeah, thank you so much. That
Yeah.
can I ask last question and I'll just
Well, I'm
be
going to have to
gone?
get a cup of coffee, so you're going to have to wait up, Arthur. Hang on.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Sorry about that, Arthur. Okay, last one, but make it quick because a lot of people have been waiting.
Sure, sure. I understand. I'm so sorry.
No,
So
no, I've been. It's been just as much. It's been more my fault actually because I've been kind of like slow in like moving people along, and there are a lot of people waiting, and so I want to get to as many people as possible. So Arthur, go ahead, shoot.
how to handle certain social success? Let's say I go to a meeting and I make a good impression on people.
Yeah.
But so I'm making a good impression. They ask for my Facebook or whatever contacts, and what should I do next? Should I build a sort of call them up regularly and turn them into sort of friends, like semi-friends, or should I just how to support that networking networking net, or I don't know how to say this properly, sort of.
So if you meet somebody and you make a strong impression, but you don't have any obvious business need for each other, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, like you meet somebody and there's no reason for a follow-up call.
Exactly.
Okay? Because okay, suppose you need to make a good impression on some guy who's potentially a client, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a customer for whatever service you're providing or your company is providing. And so you want to make a good impression, you make a good impression, and then you say, okay, let's talk in 2 days or something or whatever the fuck about business.
Mm-hmm.
Great. That's easy. But if you meet somebody, you make a good impression and there's no obvious need, okay, then what you do is that you send them an email or contact them, social media, whatever, and you just say, hey, it was great chatting with you. Let's stay in touch because, we don't have any, I'm doing this and you're doing that. And so there's no obvious point of intersection, but I think it would be great to just stay in touch for the future. Most guys will say, yeah, sure. Because look, when you know that you've made a good impression, likely that you have, and likely the other person would like to stay in touch with you too, even though there's no obvious need for it. So just send them a follow-up. And, periodically, like every 60 days, 90 days, give them a call just to say, hey, what's going on? How's it going? That's what I usually do. For people who are on my list of contacts that I don't need to interact with regularly,
Mm-hmm.
I'll call every 2-3 months, and just to touch base. I usually, what I do is that periodically every month or so, I sort of like go through my list of all my contacts,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just give them a quick call. If I haven't heard from somebody in a while, say, oh, what's going on? What's up? Blah, blah, And also what's important is that you should always put in your contacts, in your address book, make notations as to, the name of the wife or the girlfriend or any other information that might be important to the guy. Keep that written down because you'd be surprised how easy you forget that shit. You think that you'll remember, but you forget. Okay, so write it all down just so that you can smoothly bring up something instead of like saying, "Hey, aren't you married?" or something like that. No, then no. But if you say, hey, how's your wife, marry or whatever the fuck, right?
Right.
You just dive right into it. Yeah.
Wouldn't it feel like I'm it's crossing the line of that personal life of that person? Okay, I gotta go. Probably.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Meaning like
no. You just be polite. Use some common sense. Okay. Imagine they are asking you questions. Okay. If you're not sure about a question, imagine if that question were asked of you. Would you feel embarrassed about it? If you're not sure whether I asked him about his wife, imagine I say, "Hey, Arthur, how's your wife?" Would it bother you? Yes or no? Yeah. Always put yourself in the other guy's shoes, and that way you won't have any problem. Okay, Arthur?
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
No problem. Take it easy. Hey, Michael, how's it going?
I'm good, Coach. How about you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. What's on your mind, man?
Combinations of different things we're going through, and I was noticing that a lot of questions I was thinking about were answered, so I had to come up with a different approach on this one. I overthink as all get out, and just nonstop, my brain just doesn't ever want to stop working.
Yeah.
So I found I found that the answer has to deal with emotions. I'm trying to figure out, like, how do you get yourself to resist the urge?
The urge to what?
Like
to overthink things?
To act on your emotions, just on no matter how strong or weak they are.
Wait, I'm confused. What do you mean?
Like instead of acting on an impulse, just thinking something out before you actually do it.
Well, you just have to rein in your impulses, okay? And you have to think to yourself, what kind of damage would my impulse result in if I followed it, okay? Okay, for instance, right? You're on a highway, and some asshole in front of you cuts you off, right? So, your impulse is to just chase the guy down, get off on his exit, and find him. And when he gets out of his car, go up to him and beat the shit out of him because he cut you off, right? I'm exaggerating, of course.
Or to honk your horn and something.
No,
crazy
honking your horn is fine, but I mean, like, doing something stupid, okay?
Like over the top.
Yeah, okay. Like, or even easier, you're in a parking lot, you're about to turn into some parking slot, and some asshole comes in and swoops in and steals it from you. What, you get out of the car and start arguing with the son of a bitch? No, that's the impulse that you'll have, but you have to resist that impulse and realize it's stupid. No good can come of it. And you have to, that's the only way. And you have to quickly, I mean, if your brain is working on overtime, you have to quickly imagine what would happen if you pursued that impulse. And that impulse would probably lead to something pretty bad. So you want to avoid that. See?
And then having a community, or like, to be quick, because I noticed that especially American men, women, what have you, are generally like flashy, flamboyant, and then I'm over here thinking, what in the crap are these people doing this? Honestly, just stupid, and I'm bored as all get out. So how do you deal with kind of boredom as a result of people being crazy and stuff, and you just never want to do anything off of it?
Well, you just have to ignore them and find a group of people that fit you better. You have to look for people who hang out in a circle where they do things that you're more interested in. Like I've mentioned a number of times that one of a great place to go for a smart, brainy people is a bridge club, Contract Bridge, the card game. Those clubs are all over the place. You just have to look for them. And the people there, they're smart. Because you got to be very smart to play that game.
So like that, chess, what have you?
Yeah. I mean, like, look, if you go to some club where all the pretty people are, but they're empty and boring as far as you're concerned, you're going to have a shitty time. And if you're having a shitty time, you're not going to meet anybody that you like. Okay?
Because then you're not going to connect and all that.
Exactly. But if you go and play, like, say, chess of all things, right? You love playing chess and you go to some stupid chess club, you're going to be happy. And you're going to wind up meeting other people who like chess, and there are probably going to be some girls there, not that many, but they'll be there. And Contract Bridge is a great place to do that. Other places are like the gym, working out. Working out is a great place to meet people.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, you should try that. You should try that, Michael.
See, what was at the bridge?
Don't go to places where you're going to only find people that you don't like. Yeah. And you're not even going to enjoy it. Because, I mean, if you were like going to clubs and you enjoyed it, well, okay, fine. Even though you're going there and you're not meeting anybody that you particularly like, but you actually like going to clubs, that would be fine. But if you don't like going to clubs, you don't like the people there, yeah, they're attractive, but so what? You don't like them. And ultimately, attraction, physical attractiveness, that's all good and fine. But ultimately, you want to be with people whom you actually enjoy, right? That's what you want to be doing. So go to where the people that you would actually enjoy hang out. And like I said, it's usually clubs for it's different in different places. But like, you ever heard of a game called Diplomacy?
Nope.
Well, look it up. It's a game called Diplomacy. Okay. And a lot of really fucking brainy people play that game. Okay. And there are clubs all over the fucking place. You should check it out. Okay. So, yeah. So, hey, Michael, great talking to you, man. You take it easy. Okay. Catch you next week.
Was that Crossbridge?
What?
Was it
Diplomacy?
And then the group was Crossbridge or something?
I don't know. It's different. The game is called.
Oh, okay.
And there are different clubs in different cities. Okay.
All righty. Thank you so much.
Take it easy, man. Anthony, have you worked out your sound issues?
Yes, sir. Sorry
Hey,
about
how's it
that.
going? What's on your mind, man? Finally, you're on.
Yeah, I know. Finally, I wanna first thank you for doing this AMA. I think
No, my
everyone
pleasure.
appreciates it. It's been
No, my
a
pleasure.
lot of interesting questions, and I can see.
I see here Gabriel T is calling me hail boomer CRP. Hey, fuckstick, Gabriel. I'm a Gen Xer, not a boomer. Thanks, Gabriel. Really nice of you to say. Anyway, what's on your mind, Anthony?
Okay, so I had a couple questions. The first one was where if you have assets and you're not like all in crypto and stuff, where like safe places you can move to?
Land. They're not making any more of it.
Um,
Either undeveloped land, which is it's undeveloped land is a surefire bet to store value, but of course you don't make any income. So you want developed land, i.e., some sort of property like a house or an apartment. Apartment even better, and you want to invest in that. Yeah, because they're not making any more of it, and people are always going to need it.
Does this apply only to the U.S. or in other countries?
It applies everywhere. Okay. Of course, it depends. I mean, you want to be investing in a place where property values aren't going to go down because the city or the town is expanding or doing well, right? You don't want to be investing in a ghost town or a town that's dying, right? Of course not. But other than that, you invest in real estate because they're never going to make any more of the stuff. It's the safest investment. It's safer than any kind of financial asset, be it a stock or a bond. It's safer than commodities because remember, when you invest in commodities, you're not investing in the commodity, you're investing in certificates of the commodity. And the value of that, the security of that depends on on how solid the institutions that emitted the certificate really is. If it folds, you could lose your money. Okay, so yeah, land. That's the best investment, land.
But what if you had like cash? What's a safe place to put that in? Like any particular place or institution that might be.
That you need to talk to your a financial advisor where you live. If you are not sophisticated about this kind of stuff, I would suggest you go to your local bank and talk to an investment advisor at your local bank, and he'll be able to point out like good places that are very, very safe where you can park your cash if you don't know where to invest or what to do with it. You can park your cash there and you'll get not much money out of it, maybe a couple of percentage points a year in interest, but at least it'll be something and you won't have to worry about it. Because ultimately what happens is that when you don't have any money, you don't worry. I mean, when you don't have any money, you worry about getting money. But once you have money, you worry about not losing it. And not losing it is actually a heavier burden. So the smart thing, if you don't know what to do, which happens all the time, just park it in some bank, some solid bank, spread the certificates of deposit so that they're below the minimum insurance of that particular institution, and park it there and just have it at getting 2.5% interest or whatever absurdity they're giving out, which is it's nothing, it's peanuts, but you're not going to worry, which is the point. Yeah, and then figure out where you want to invest it long term. But like I said, long term investment, land, always land.
But you wouldn't recommend like moving it like to another country or something like that, like financial.
Well, if there's a good investment opportunity in some other country, sure, why don't you do that? Okay, but you have to make sure that it's a country that you know the laws there, that you have a good attorney who can help you out, a trustworthy attorney, somebody who won't steal from you. Because if you invest in a foreign country and you don't know the rules, you could lose it all because of somebody unscrupulous that you wind up meeting and they steal your money. That can happen. So you have to, go there with your eyes wide open, Yeah.
Okay. And my second question is, I wanted to know, I know probably other people understand this a lot better, but I wanted to know more about like the coming, or maybe we're in it already, the fourth turning and the signs and stuff, what to look up for and how to prepare for it.
I don't know anything about the fourth turning theory. I don't follow it. I saw a video by Van Neistat, Casey Neistat's brother, that was pretty good. But to tell you the truth, I watched it. It was an okay video, and I forgot the whole thing because I'm not sure that I really believe that shit. because I know enough history to know that that simplistic analysis that the fourth turning seems to be giving is not quite accurate for a variety of reasons that would be too long to get into. And like I said, I kind of like dismissed it at the time. I couldn't quite take it seriously. See, what happens is that whenever I come across something that I can't take 100% seriously, I kind of like forget it, you know, because why would I bother, remembering something that I thought was kind of stupid? Okay, and the whole fourth turning thing seems to, how can I put this? It seems to appeal to the conspiracy minded. It seems to appeal to people who need an extraneous explanation for the things that are going on now. And I'm not one to go for that kind of thing. I much prefer to understand the causes of something, even without a framework. But some people need a framework. And it seemed to me when I watched that episode by Van Neistat, who gave a very good explanation of the whole concept of the fourth turning, that I just didn't buy it, because I saw what was being described and realized that it was a lot more complicated and sophisticated than that was being explained there on that show. Yeah. So that's what I think, man.
All right, I see. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate your time and everything.
No problem, Anthony. You take it easy.
You too. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Brian, how's it going?
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, sure. I hear you fine. What's on your mind, man?
I got two questions. I'm going to try and make this fast because I know other people are on. One, I have this friend. I know people are like, I have a friend. Do you know where some weed is? No, but I have this friend. It's very clear that he didn't have a father in his life.
Yeah.
He's very intelligent. He's very charismatic, but the guy just has no backbone. Like, I'm going to try and make this example kind of vague.
By the way, the lack of backbone, it isn't because he didn't have a father. Okay, some guys have a father and they grow up without a backbone. Some guys don't have a father and grow up with a backbone. It's not. There's no correlation there. It could be either way. But go ahead.
So, like, he was at this party. He didn't remember what happened. He wakes up. And he's being accused of sexual harassment by this girl, who's like
sexual assault or sexual harassment.
Harassment. Okay. I'm gonna make that distinction. This girl, who to put it politely, she's like a 1. She was saying that he was harassing like an 8 and her. And my first reaction to this is like, why would you do that? Like, you were drunk, but you still had some sense.
Yeah.
But that situation ends up working out. And then like 2 weeks later, this girl tries to force herself onto him.
Okay.
And the worst part about all of this is that he still keeps giving her the time of day. And I'm like, I'm just really worried for the guy because he has like no.
Some guys are morons, man. What the fuck? Some guys are morons. Look, a girl accuses you of any fucking thing, you fucking run for the hills. Okay, you stay the fuck away from her. If she accuses you of sexual harassment or sexual assault or whatever the fuck she accuses you, assuming that it's not true. Okay, assuming that you didn't do anything or your friend didn't do anything to anybody. Okay. Let's just take that as a premise of this conversation. Well, if you get accused by, assume this. Suppose I accuse you, Brian, of like ripping me off for like $50,000, right? You're like, CRP, what the fuck are you talking about? I've never ripped you off for 50 grand. And I'm like, no, you ripped me off for 50 grand. Well, what's your reaction going to be in the future? Are you going to keep on being subscribed to Patreon? No. Are you going to keep on watching my videos? Probably, perhaps watching them to see if I talk about you and how you ripped me off for 50 grand, right? But other than that, you're going to stay the fuck away from me, right? Obvious. Because of, fucking self-preservation. Because you're going to be thinking to yourself, hey, this guy is fucking crazy. He's claiming that I ripped him off for 15 grand when I've never done any kind of business with him. No way did I rip him off for 50 grand. This is all bullshit, right? You'd stay away. Now, your friend who still hangs out with this woman and gives her and talks to her and interacts with her, what the fuck is he thinking? He's a fucking idiot. He has a death wish. It's as simple as that. He has some sort of death wish.
I'm trying to like say
ruined.
I keep telling him, don't give her the time of day. Like, record every single interaction you have with her. This is going to end badly, but he just doesn't listen.
Okay, what is the relationship between these two people? Are they in the same class? Are they like family members? What the fuck is going on here?
They happen to go to the same college.
And how big is this fucking college? Does
It's
it
a
have like
state school.
12 students? What?
I guess it's just the fact that they might be in the same social circles, but it's like a large state school.
Oh,
He can meet other people if he wants.
He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell him. But
this is your friend?
A friend of mine, yeah.
Okay, look, sit him down and tell him, look, this is the last time I'm going to tell you because this is going to be too fucking painful. This woman is going to fuck him over. She's going to definitely fuck him over. And he's a fucking fool. He's just playing with fire pointlessly. Look, it's like with those guys who, like, for some bizarre reason, hang off from the edges of buildings and shit by like one finger, trying to show off how cool they are. These fuckers are going to fall to their deaths. It's inevitable, man. Okay? You keep on playing with fire like that, you're going to get burned eventually. It's just, the way averages work. You know what I'm saying? And so he's a fucking idiot. Yeah. Yeah. And this isn't you, I'm assuming, right?
No. I've definitely watched your videos about having insurance and stuff.
Yeah, don't play with fire, man. What the fuck are you? You're only going to get burned. Yeah, I don't get that. I understand what you're saying because I've known guys like that. I personally don't understand them. I don't think it's because they grew up without a father. I think some guys are just natural fucking idiots. Okay, as simple as that. See, I think that some of these guys do such incredibly imbecilic things, and of course it blows up in their faces. I mean, it ends badly. And I think that they are put on this earth to be an object lesson to the rest of us. It's like, it's not merely Darwinianism in action. It's rather like an example so that we can all learn what not to do. There are such men. They're fucking fools. And you've just got to, realize who you're dealing with and know that they're going to blow up and, get out of the way of the splatter is all I can say. Yeah, man. Anyway. Great talking to you, Brian. You take it easy, okay?
To you the same.
Hey, Guillermo. How's it going? Guillem. Is that Guillem?
Hey. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I hear you fine. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, nothing. I was just... well, firstly, I will introduce myself. Firstly, I would like to say thank you for everything that you do because your videos have been a great influence on my life.
I hope positively. Thank you very much.
I'm a 23-year-old guy from Spain.
Yeah.
From Catalonia. That's why my name is similar to Guillermo.
Yep.
And yeah, I started an online business back when the quarantine began because I had a lot of free time. So I was just working all day long. Mm-hmm. And it went really well. I'm currently making multiple six figures. So
Jesus.
Since I began, I'm making too much money. It's quite overwhelming. So the tax situation is very bad for me right now. And I'm looking at different options, primarily in Eastern Europe. And I was just wondering...
Break the law. Don't break the tax law.
Oh, definitely not.
No. You don't want to have a tax problem. Okay?
Especially in Spain, because in Spain, the government is very inefficient, but they are very efficient
collecting
taxing people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at different options, and Ukraine is very interesting to me because, firstly, the women are beautiful.
Sure.
And I don't know, I've heard many great things about it. So I just wanted to ask you what the tax situation is like in Ukraine.
I don't know. Okay. Because I honestly to God don't know. And so, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't really affect me. I'm not going to go into the specifics of my tax situation. Okay. But
I understand.
Insofar as the tax situation, look, if you're doing business online, the smart thing is, of course, to set up an offshore company that owns your money-making venture and have your money go to a foreign country, typically Panama or Cyprus. You should be in touch with attorneys that do business either in Panama or Cyprus. Panama, because there's Spanish language, and it would be easy for you. And Cyprus, because it's physically close by, okay? And there are lots of law firms that specialize in tax minimization, because it's not, it's not eluding taxes. It's minimizing taxes. You never want to elude taxes. You never want to break the law. Never.
Of course.
Okay? You want to minimize your tax burden. And there are lots of ways to do it. Most typically, you set up a offshore company that owns your online business. That would be the most sensible approach. Okay.
That's what I'm considering that with the Estonian e-residency program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but I don't know how it works insofar as the tax situation is concerned. And do keep in mind, Estonia is part of the EU. So I don't think it really minimizes your tax burden. But having some sort of offshore company that owns your online business would minimize your tax burden, especially if it's in a jurisdiction where there is no corporate tax or very minimal corporate tax. So yeah, I'd look into that. But I mean, setting something up in Estonia, but you're still going to be paying EU taxes, it's like you're going to go through all this hassle for nothing. I mean, if you're going to go and set it up in Panama, and there are lots of firms that do that kind of work. Okay. I mean, it's a huge industry in Panama. All you have to do is just do research on reputable law firms and get in touch with one of the attorneys there, and you're on your way. It's not complicated. And you could probably, if you have a good attorney in Spain, you can ask him if he knows anybody in Panama or Cyprus, knows any attorney in any of those two jurisdictions, and get in touch with them and sort yourself out. Yeah.
All right. That's all for today. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Take it easy, man.
Take it easy. Goodbye.
Hannibal, how's it going?
Hi, Coach.
Hey,
Hello?
you there? Yeah, I'm here. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah. So I have 3 questions. Perhaps I'll start with the least complex one.
Sure.
So you've spoken about the deregulated marketplace, the deregulated SMV. And as we see in the economy, every year we hear that a smaller group of people is basically concentrating all the wealth. And that's what we're seeing in the deregulated SMV, because essentially hypergamy is unhinged. And so it appears that women win. But in reality, it's the guys at the very top who are the true power brokers in this market. And so my question is about this 80%. What do you think is going to happen with this 80% in view of theories like Unwin's? Do you think that this group of men will become very bitter, very violent, and may potentially become a very disruptive force in society, where if some demagogue arises and promises them a new order, they're so bitter with the current social order that they will leave? Or do you think that they will simply entropy away and decline, as kind of some other callers are alluding to either through empty hedonism or its inverse, which is actually the same, which is a kind of pessimistic nihilism, which is kind of the awake form of hedonism, if you like? So that's the basic question, because it's not healthy having this huge amount of men this frustrated. It's just not gonna be
it's if you look at the entire society, it's gone this way of like the people at the top being all the winnings, and the vast bulk of the population getting nothing.
Yeah.
You see it in business. You see it like with how the government's basically destroyed all the medium and small sized businesses. And who won? Walmart and Amazon. And all the other stores, they got fucked. The deregulated sexual marketplace, you got like the guys at the top, they've got like 3, 4, 5 women, and the women are aware of one another, and they're sort of like, well, he's so hot and he's so this and that I'll just take it, right? And all the other men, I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say that the bottom 60% of men don't get any pussy at all. Okay, and they're distracted or mollified with pornography, and they're just jerking off night and day like fucking rabbits, right? But eventually, that of course leads to apathy and depression and gross unhappiness. But eventually that's going to turn to rage, okay? And eventually, it seems to me, and put yourself in the shoes of a guy like that. Okay, you're never going to get the girl that you like, and it's made to you so clear all the time that you're not only never going to find the dream girl, you're never even going to find a halfway decent girl with whom to have a family of your own, right?
Because they've all been run through.
Yeah, and so what happens? You jerk off to porn for a while, right? You're on Pornhub for like, a few months, maybe a few years, right? Jerking off like a fucking monkey, right? A very bored monkey in his cage. But eventually, you go through these cycles of like jerking off and depression, and black pill everywhere, right? Eventually, you're going to say, you know something? Let's watch this whole fucking place burn. Because I'm never going to be happy and there's no hope for me. See, the problem is that when you have a population of people who are hopeless, then they're willing to burn shit down. Everybody talks about how in the United States over the summer, all these cities burned. Yeah, it's awful. But you got to ask yourself something. Why were these people burning everything down? Because they're fucking hopeless. Because they're not getting any of the benefits that they see on Instagram and Facebook and all these rich people living fantastic lives. I see all these YouTube videos about these private yachts. I personally hate sailing, okay? I hate it. I get seasick and I just fucking hate it. But for some reason, I watched a few and now I'm bombarded with all these yacht shows, these yacht, these big private yachts, and they're incredibly luxurious. And I don't mind. I mean, they're pretty and I don't care. It doesn't really affect me. But if I really yearn for a yacht like that, and I just simply would never have the money, and I knew that I'd never have the money, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to throw a Molotov cocktail onto that fucking yacht. Yeah. And so, I think that this is a fucking disaster. And I think that one of the great problems that we're having is a sorting problem. Okay, of sorting. To sort things, to put them in their proper place. We're really great at sorting people. Yeah, we're really great at sorting people for their profession, of assigning different slots so that people get to the right profession. But we're horrible at sorting men and women so that they find each other and can become a couple and eventually a family. And we're horrible at that.
If you observe cultures like Indian culture, I know it's eroding, where they have arranged marriage. The whole thing's just so efficient. It's like 95% of the population gets a partner, and it happens very quickly. The dads and uncles sit together, and it's just thrashed out. And there's famous psychological studies where the satisfaction from arranged marriages and ones where people choose are the same, which means that your agency has nothing to do with the likelihood of success.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, bottom line, one girl is just as good as any other. One husband is just as good as any other. Okay. At the end of the day, well, it's sort of like shoes. Okay. When you buy shoes, new shoes, leather shoes, right? See, the shoe gives in for your foot, but your foot also is modified by the shoe. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And in a weird way, if you put on a shoe that's kind of fits more or less, but it's not entirely comfortable, after walking a few miles in it, it'll be comfortable. It'll be broken in, okay? And your foot will have modified for the shoe, and the shoe will have modified for your foot, okay? That's pretty much what marriage is, okay? People don't like to admit it. They have all these romantic fantasies of your soulmate or your best friend forever, shit like that. But bottom line, one person is just as good as anybody else. Okay, you modify and are changed by that person. Okay, that's what's going on. So anyway, the fact that we don't have this and so many guys are so unhappy, I don't see it ending well. Now, of course, I don't talk about this because I don't want to. I mean, it's obviously what I think, and it's implicit into the videos that I make. I don't really want to talk about it so blatantly in public because I might get into trouble. Because now you get into trouble for saying the truth. You get deplatformed for saying the truth, which I think is horrible, but that's the world we live in.
What's the side effect of that? You have the discarded women too, who are 37, and then they're surprised that they're not going to get a family, and then they realize the consolation of the girl trips and the wine and the pets isn't going to do it. So it's really tragedy for everyone.
Yes, it is. And the thing is, see, it's a tragedy, and they don't want to admit it. They can't admit it.
Because
Okay.
the whole edifice collapses, the ideological edifice they
No,
built.
I mean, like, think of it. Think of this. You are a person. You're a 40-year-old woman. Say you're a professional woman, and all of your life you were like, yeah, I can do it. I can reach the top of my profession. Blah blah blah. And you work like a dog to get to the top of your profession, and you eschewed a family, children of your own, and you didn't get to the top of your profession because very few people get to the top of their professions. Obviously, okay. Many people try, but very few get there. A tiny minority, in fact, right? And you're 40 years old and you realize that your career, you didn't get to the tippity top, and you're sort of like middling in your career, and therefore your position is fairly vulnerable. You've got no children, no family, no nothing in your life. And so, of course, what happens is that we human beings are so good at fooling ourselves because it allows us to continue to live. Because most people, if they looked at their lives squarely and looked at their lives realistically, you know, a good third of those people would shoot themselves in the head because they realize how horrible their lives are. Yeah. And so people fool themselves. A 40-year-old woman, what's she going to say? That feminism was bad? No, she's going to double down in order to explain to herself more than anybody and convince herself more than anybody that she made the right choice, even though by any objective criteria, she made a disastrous choice. See, that's the way of life. It's a tragedy, like you said. There's nothing to be done about it. Anything else on your mind, Hannibal?
Yeah, the second question was just, I know you were being a skeptic of Bitcoin for a while. And I was also in that boat simply because a currency is a store of value. It cannot be an unending source of multiple wealth just from buying a currency. And so I've held that view and always been quite skeptical. But I've recently changed my mind, and I just wanted to run my idea by you. So my idea is, in a digital economy, digital trade will replace physical trade. And so there will always be a need for people to trade value in a way independent of fiat currency. And that really is the argument for the need for Bitcoin and other digital currencies. But obviously it doesn't mean that their price will just appreciate forever. There has to be some kind of standard or fix of value, like a fixed. Essentially with Bitcoin, I understand the coins are fixed. So that's kind of like gold, where the actual concentration of it in the earth is fixed by nature. And it's very scarce, and then all you need is the consensus that this is what people will accept as the token of value. And then with computers, you can get infinitesimal division of a Bitcoin as a practical currency. But I don't know if you think that that's a legitimate argument. So that they will exist.
No, I look at it from a different point of view. I look at it, the fact is, see, ultimately everything is, the value of everything is based... Everything has value based on what society thinks it has value, okay? Like, for instance, gold. Look at just a block of gold. It's sitting there on your table, right? Does it have value to you? Well, if it were sitting in front of me right now on my desk, it would be a paperweight, okay? It has value because other people think it has value and are willing to give me money for it, okay? And so ultimately, that's what everything has value, because if somebody's willing to give you money for it, then it has value. Now, yeah, I was skeptical about Bitcoin. I thought it was like tulip mania. I thought it was just bullshit. But we've clearly reached a tipping point insofar as number of people who are totally convinced about Bitcoin, that it's not going down. Okay? I mean, yes, it will go down, of course, but I mean, it's not going to become zero, is my point. And so obviously we've reached that tipping point, just as there was a tipping point insofar as gold. Like the Aztecs and the Incas or whatever the fuck, they didn't care about gold. It was just a pretty rock. That's it, right? Or I forget which civilization just didn't think much of it. But Europeans thought very highly of gold and silver, right? And they were willing to give up a lot of goods and services for gold and silver. If enough people think that Bitcoin is valuable, then it has value. It's simple as that. That's my approach to it. Now, whether it will maintain value into the future, I mean, disregarding the periodic rises and falls in its value, its contingent, valuation going up and down. Forget about that part. but rather it will have value into the future. It will have a positive value into the future. Do I think so? Yeah, it's looking like that at this point. But yeah, I mean, I was a skeptic about it, but now it's like, well, why fight it? There's no reason to fight it. Everybody thinks that it has value. Fine, it has value. Okay. Yeah, that's my thinking on the whole issue. Yeah.
Okay. One last thing, coach, is the most complex question. Let's say there was a time machine, and you could go back.
I'm sorry, you dropped out.
Let's say there was a time machine,
yeah,
a time machine, and you could go back as a man in your 50s now, in your mid 50s, and meet your 30-year-old self. What one piece of advice, with the benefit of hindsight, would you attempt to convince your younger self of, or wish to convey urgently to your younger self?
That's a good question. I mean, let's assume, ignore the idea of like, oh yeah, buy Google or buy Apple stock. They're going to have the iPhone, shit like that, right?
Existential things.
Yeah, existential things. Yeah, I mean, it's something serious, not trivial, like buy Bitcoin, or some shit like that, right? Something. I have to admit that I'm fairly satisfied with the life I've lived up to this point. And if I had to go back to the age of 30, I look at some of the mistakes I made and some of the stuff that I did. This is what I would do. I would tell my 30-year-old self not to segregate people in my head, because I would pursue different things and not tell other people in my life that I was pursuing these things. And I would be, and for some reason, I never quite understood this retrospectively. But I had this mentality that I would pursue certain objectives and not tell other people that I was pursuing these objectives, as if there were like different tracks of my life, and I had some people for one track and other people for a different track. And this was a mistake, because I realized that there were people in like, there were like my book people, the people in the publishing industry that I knew, and I didn't tell them that I was pursuing film projects, and people in the film projects that I wouldn't tell them about like some finance stuff that I was doing. Okay. And this all was a huge mistake. I should have kept all of the different groups of people in my life that I knew, that I had access to. I should have told them what I was doing in the other areas of my life. You see what I'm saying?
And why do you say that? Because of synergistic effects? Or because
synergistic effects. Because they could have helped me out. Okay? They could have helped me out, and they would have understood why sometimes I was not paying them strict attention, because I was busy and preoccupied with something else. And I think that I lost some relationships because people thought that I was no longer interested. And it wasn't that I was no longer interested, it was that I was just busy with some other shit. But since I didn't communicate that, they thought, oh, he just doesn't care, and they drifted out. See?
And
that was my mistake.
What was your motivation at the time? Did you think that it would impede you, or that they couldn't help you, or did you just have a philosophy where...
No, I thought that they couldn't help me, and they might impede me, and it was just stupidity. It was just... it was almost thoughtless. It was keeping everything very segregated. And that was a huge mistake on my part. I never should have done that. I should have gone out of my way to keep everybody up to speed as to what I was doing, and not just sort of like, because from their point of view, I realized too that it was sort of like I ghosted, because I sort of like vanished as I pursued some other project. And that was a huge mistake on my part. Yeah. That's a good question, by the way. And that's the one thing I really, really regretted, because now I realize that had I talked to other people that I kept kind of like in the dark as to what I was doing, because I kept them outside of what I was doing, and I had problems in what I was doing at that moment, but I kept these other people away and like shielding them off from what I was doing. But had I removed that curtain and brought them in and told them, look, I'm working on this, but I don't know what to do, they had solutions. They could have helped me, really helped me, and it would have been to my benefit and to their benefit, to everybody's benefit. The synergistic effect of telling more people about what I was doing, it was a huge mistake on my part. I think that that's the biggest mistake of my life. I'm not kidding. Yeah, that was the biggest mistake I made, and I've thought about it quite a bit. And for the life of me, I don't understand it. I don't understand my motivation. It was just a quirk of my personality. I think it might have had to do with my education, because like when you're in education and you're in school, right? You have English classes and math classes and history classes, and they're all very separate. And so I guess in my head, I always had like, okay, I'm doing publishing, but that's just publishing. That's just the publishing people, this group right over here. And they have nothing to do with the film people over here. And that was a mistake. It was a huge mistake on my part. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
My pleasure, man. Take it easy. Hey, Jonas, how's it going?
Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up? What's on your mind?
I posted a question in the comment section. So the question was,
I didn't see it, man, because like I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Sorry.
No problem. I'll just ask it now.
Sure.
My main question is that like I just noticed that in general, most men are blue pilled. The tiny minority are red pilled, and including some of your subscribers are trying to move from being blue pilled to being red pilled.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, like, what's the, in your opinion, like the main factor that contributes to some of those people already being red pilled on their own, like not needing someone like yourself to guide us through the process?
Well, I mean, it's very nice of you to say that I guide people through the process. I don't guide anybody through any fucking process.
I mean, you're pretty insightful, so I just mean like I just.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. But what happens is, let's see, the whole red pill issue, right? Let's go back to the original metaphor. The metaphor is you take the red pill and you see the world as it actually is.
Yeah.
See? And see, more and more people are taking the red pill, quote unquote, because more people are seeing the divergence between the mainstream narrative and reality.
Right.
Or you could say it a different way. You could say that the mainstream narrative applies to an ever shrinking group of people. Because the mainstream narrative, okay, like all narratives, it fits with some people, and it fits with some people's view of reality. Okay, you and I might think it's completely wrong, but it would be more appropriate to say that you and I belong to a set of people who see reality different from this narrow set, right? I mean, think of set theory. The mainstream narrative is this set. And the entire screen is all the people, and so the mainstream narrative is within the set, and those people who are red pilled are those people who see reality outside of the set. You got to keep in mind that if you're looking at my screen, at the screen, I'm painting, I'm drawing with my hands on the screen. Mainstream narrative used to encompass that set.
Right.
The vast majority. I mean, I'm putting my arms around. If you can.
Yeah, I can see. I can see.
Yeah, like the vast majority of people were in that set, but it's been shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and as it shrinks, more people are leaving the mainstream narrative, i.e., becoming red pill, because the mainstream narrative is appealing to a smaller and smaller and smaller group of people, i.e., it's becoming more and more dissociated from the reality that most people experience. Okay.
Right.
And so the people who get red pilled, they are dropping out of the mainstream narrative because they themselves are seeing a reality that does not match the narrative. And what's also happening is a lot of people who are still on board with the mainstream narrative are people who are deceiving themselves. And at some fundamental level, they realize it. Okay? They realize that they are deceiving themselves, and therefore they fight even more bitterly against those people who are quote unquote red pilled, because they know that they're wrong, but they can't face the reality. You see? And that's what's going on. And so you have to understand that people who are quote unquote blue pilled, especially those people who are hysterical about it, right? Who go off around, they go out of their fucking minds. You have to feel sorry for them. You have to feel compassion for them. Okay? Because you have to understand that these people are desperate to hold on to a narrative that no longer conforms to reality. And that's what's going on.
I have to say, like me myself, like I was pretty blue pilled, but as the information came to me, like, I just like started to realize, okay, this makes total sense, and then just dropping my former way of thinking, like, I have to do that. But what I was really trying to get at was, I've noticed now, looking retrospectively, like there were lots of people who were red pill from birth. Like, it just seems much younger, right? Like they just got it. So I'm just wondering, like, is that mainstream culture? Is that people being more disagreeable in their temperament? Like, do you have any insights on that, maybe?
I think it's just an accident that they got red pilled earlier.
Okay.
You know, they might have stumbled across some truth, some obvious, blatant truth that everybody was in denial of, and they were like, "Wait a second, people are totally wrong."
Yeah.
Also, you got to keep in mind, it takes a degree of self-confidence to break from the mainstream narrative. Okay, most people don't have that. Okay, and you'll find that a lot of people who are, you know, red pilled as fuck, as they say, right? From a very young age, those guys are usually going to be very successful because they have that personality.
Yeah.
Okay? You gotta understand that. So look, the problem with this red pilling shit, okay, this is a very serious problem, and of red pilling, because you see, our society, the liberal democracies of the West, it has one fairy tale that we tell ourselves that's crucial to our entire civilization, and that is the notion that all people are created equal. And that's demonstrably not true. There are some people who are better than others. Simple as that. It's very obvious, and people don't like to admit it, and you know, and they go through all kinds of mental gymnastics. See, in the past, people were like, yeah, some people are better than others, and that's why we have an aristocracy, because the aristocrats are the people who are better. Of course,
it's the Christian idea, right? Like we're all equal in the eyes of God. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, everybody's equal in the eyes of God, and so forth and so on. I mean, see, most of human history, we have acknowledged the fact that we are not equal. Christianity was the first religion that said, in the eyes of God, everybody is equal. And that slowly but surely translated into, in the eyes of the law, we're all equal. And now we're trying to get to the point of, like, we're all equal, actually equal. And any differences are because of racism, bigotry, sexism, this, that, the other, all the typical bullshit. But see, the Enlightenment the enlightened democratic West has as a cornerstone the notion that we're all equal. Okay, that all human beings have equal value.
Yeah.
We don't. Okay, and we know that instinctively. Okay, you see some homeless guy. Okay, some homeless guy who's like talking to himself, and he's got just a bunch of crap there, and he's living under a bridge. This is very sad. I'm not putting the man down. Okay, this is very sad, and often as not, they have mental problems and whatnot. But he's a homeless guy living under a bridge. Are you honestly going to tell me that his life is of equal value as, say, just to come up with a hypothetical example, a good pediatrician?
No, and the fact that we let him be, as a society, homeless like that means that, to me, that we are all sort of unspokenly saying that we don't value that person.
Exactly right. Exactly right. We have this myth that, oh, his life is just as valuable as the pediatrician, the specialist in pediatric oncology. He went to Harvard and Johns Hopkins. He's got a shit ton of degrees, and he's like doing cutting edge research into saving little children from pediatric cancer, which is a laudable goal, a lovely thing, right?
That person gets praised. That person gets all the attention.
His life is worth more. I'm sorry. He is more valuable. He's more valuable to any society. And to claim that his life is of equal value as the homeless guy is absurd. And we know this, as you yourself pointed out. If we as a society didn't think so, then we do extraordinary efforts to save this homeless guy and put him in a great place and fix his life. But we don't, because we know. Okay? But what's happening is that, see, as more people become red-pilled, more people start to question this basic assumption of our society. And this basic assumption has stood us in very good stead for 250 years. It's a cornerstone of our entire civilization. I'm talking the North America and Central and South America to an extent. Europe, Oceania, it's a big fucking deal. Without it, our democracy doesn't work. If we face the fact that we are not equal, then automatically we say, well, who's more equal than the others? Who's better? And shouldn't they get more rights, more privileges, more this, that, the other? And those people are going to say, yeah, we should, because we're better. And you see, all of a sudden, we're like trying to organize a new aristocracy. See? And so the people who are red-pilled, it's not that they're red-pilled. It's not that they're seeing through the bullshit of the media and mainstream media and all the rest of it. No. It's that they start to see through the basic assumption, the cornerstone of liberal democracy. That's the problem. And it seems to me that the mainstream, they're not even looking at that problem. They're not seeing it. And instead they're attacking the guys who are red-pilled. They're attacking the guys who are seeing the discrepancy between the mainstream narrative and reality. And the thing is, see, if the mainstream narrative had adjusted to conform to reality and not denied reality as vehemently as it has tried to do, then questioning that core assumption would not happen. But it is happening. And also, a key issue, the whole racial thing going on, Black Lives Matter, all this shit, critical race theory and all the rest of it, all this, bullshit, right? Well, it's basically racialist. That is, there are different races and we should focus on the different races. And that inevitably leads people to say, hey, yeah, we should focus on the white race. And how come the white race does so much stuff and the other races don't seem to do as many things, many inventions, as many works of art? Is it all racism, or could it be some other reason?
Right.
See? And then we go into a very dangerous territory. And it's dangerous because, see, I fundamentally like the liberal democracy. It's worked, hasn't it? It's worked for 250 years. But I think that this failure of the mainstream to adjust to reality, and instead try to push this fake reality, which has led so many people to become red-pilled, is what's going to lead to the downfall of our civilization. I mean, it's a tragedy, but yeah, because it's like when the kid realizes that Santa Claus doesn't exist, then he just looks at the whole Christmas thing and thinks it's just bullshit and just stupid, and why are we doing it? And there you go.
And also is upset because he was lied to in the first place.
Well, yeah, but
which adds to it, I think.
It adds to it, certainly, but there's more of the sense of like, now I know how things really are, and it's not like this. And they reject Santa Claus with a vengeance. See? Okay. And so, yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. Yeah. I hope I answered your question, Jonas.
No, you did. Thank you.
Take it easy, man. Hey, Mike. Mike. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I've got a bit of an unusual situation. So,
okay, this sounds good. Let's go.
A while ago, I got charged and convicted of illegal porn. So I got put on the hate list, the sex offender registry. Whether it's legitimate or not, it ends up being irrelevant. Okay. So I've got a master's of business administration, a master's of intelligence operations, and I'm a PhD student. And I'm working on technology right now and tour type stuff. But finding a job is unbelievably difficult, and I can't, nobody will let me have a fair shake. Suggestions?
You're fucked. Simple as that. Can you move to a different country?
I could. Israeli citizenship is coming on the table in about 6 months.
Well, I mean, you get convicted for child pornography?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're in the United States, you're basically fucked. There's no other way to put it, And I would not be surprised if in Israel you'll find great difficulty as well.
Interesting. And I thought I would sort of have a clean slate because the background really wouldn't bother me so much.
I'm sure that in Israel they would check up on that kind of conviction. I mean, don't you have to have like a clean criminal record? What?
No, Israeli law of return is so generous. Unless you're an active terrorism threat, everyone gets in.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, everybody gets in. But that kind of shit, they'll
And they have no registry over there.
What?
The country of Israel does not have a offender registry.
Well, I think you might have. I don't think it's going to be that easy, but you should ask somebody in Israel. Yeah, see, it doesn't sound like things are going to go your way, Mike. As simple as that. I mean, I hate to. I mean, you want me to be realistic, right? You know,
of course.
Irrespective. Okay. Irrespective of whether you committed this offense or not. Okay. If you are convicted of having child pornography, there's you know, that's serious shit. And see, in the modern economy, it's in the modern not the modern economy. That's incorrect. In the modern human resources sorting that exists today, you know, you don't have 5 candidates for a position. You have 1,000. Okay, and any blemish that any potential candidate has, you just eliminate that guy because you have so many other options. Okay, so let's say for the sake of argument that there were, you know, you started off with 1,000 candidates and you're the HR person looking for somebody, right? And you whittle it down to just 10 candidates and you're one of them. Well, this conviction, that's a fucking red flag. And me as the HR guy in charge of this hiring, I just like put a red line across your name or just delete the line on the Excel file or whatever the fuck, right? And that's that. I won't even notice because it's not that I have 2 or 3 candidates. I have 10 who are highly qualified because that's the nature of contemporary, of the current hiring scene. Because for every position, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of very qualified people because of
Do you think I
communication
can
technology.
fix this by coming in with more qualifications than other people? Because
No.
my really okay.
Yeah, because other people will have the same qualifications as you, but without this conviction.
No, I've yet to find anyone with a double master's and some PhD in any of the jobs I've applied for.
There will be somebody. And look, bottom line, it's such a conviction to so many people will sound so egregious that on principle they won't hire you. They just won't.
Okay, starting your own business, is that the solution then?
Probably. And starting your own business in such a way that you ensure that this background issue doesn't appear, that it's never asked of you. You know, I don't know how you would do that, but I don't know your business, so that's up to you. But it's I mean, look, nobody in their right mind would hire somebody who has a conviction for child pornography. It's as simple as that. Nobody, no matter how qualified the person is. And there are enough people who, on principle, would not want to work with somebody who has such a conviction. I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but that's the truth. See? You know, I mean, I'm not going to go into the issue of whether you did it or not. I don't want to know, okay? Because I have nothing except your word to go by, and it would be a pointless conversation. But the fact is, there are certain criminal violations that people will simply not stomach. See, if a person is, you know, goes thrown into jail for a year's time because he got drunk and got into a fight with a cop, right? A lot of people will find that funny. And paradoxically, there'd be some people who'd be like, yeah, that sounds like my kind of guy. But child pornography is universally abhorred, irrespective of whether you did it or not. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm talking about perception. They would never want to work with such a person. Never. And they will, it's not even the HR person, see? Because the HR person might approve, but this would be in your file that is passed on to the guy who does the actual hiring, the person who actually needs the position filled, right? They take a look at that and they would tell the HR person, are you out of your fucking mind? How could you pass along this CV to me? This person, you know, did time for child pornography. And so, as you can see, the human resources person, even if that person were sympathetic, they would never pass along your CV because they would expose themselves to, righteous indignation on the part of the other people at her work or his work, irrespective of what you think of the whole situation. Okay,
I'm well aware.
So that's the reality. And so to fool yourself and thinking that if you get enough qualifications and you get more degrees and shit like that, you're just setting yourself up for failure. It's just not going to happen. So long as this is on your record and there's no way to get it off your record, it's just not going to happen. Okay. And I would not be surprised at all if you get more or less the same reaction in Israel. Because, like I said, the laws in Israel, I have no idea. I'm Catholic, and I've never been to Israel, so what do I know? But I mean, just a little bit of common sense would make you realize that, irrespective of the right to return that might exist, that does exist.
Yes,
See,
it does.
the people who would vet you to make sure that you are actually Jewish, okay, and that you are a U.S. citizen, they automatically do a background check, and it would pop up. And so
I discussed this with them, and they're aware, and they agree that they're pretty much stuck with me.
Yeah, well, that's the point. But see, they're going to make it known. One way or another, it'll come out. Okay? So, I mean, it could be that you could go to Israel, get an Israeli passport, and wind up going to some other country for employment. Okay? If you want to be an employee. Now, if you start a business, that's a different proposition altogether. Okay? But, I mean, I'm telling you, no amount of degrees is going to wash this away. It's simple as that. And, I mean, I don't mean to be, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you want a realistic assessment. You don't want you don't want me to blow sunshine up your ass, right?
Oh, that's obvious.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, it ain't gonna happen, man. I'm sorry to say.
Okay, thank you for your time.
No problem, Mike. Take it easy. Let's see, Elio, how's it going?
Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. How's it going?
Hey, good. No, I just I had a question.
Okay, can you speak up? I can barely hear you, man.
Can you hear me a little bit better now?
No, you keep like fading out. I think your levels are fucked up on your computer or something. Hello.
Is it a little bit better now?
Yeah, it's a little better now. So what's on your mind, man?
Okay, so just to be quick, I just had a really nasty breakup.
Okay.
And
how old are you?
This girl,
how old
27.
are you? Okay.
27.
Yeah. Okay. And how old was this girl?
And she was 24.
Okay.
And when I tell you the sex was amazing.
Was she hot?
That's an understatement.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
and so, but it was a nasty breakup. She brought the worst out in me, but so I met a new girl, and she is not as hot. The sex isn't as great. She's probably like a solid 6, 7 out of 10. The other girl was around a 9.
Mm-hmm.
But this girl that I'm currently with, she cooks, cleans, she loves my dog, she cleans my car, she, really makes my life easier, and I work so much that it's just like I appreciate it so much more. And the other girl never used to do that. But I'm just the sex is really bad. Not bad, but sorry, I'm a little jumbled. I got a little stage fright right now.
Don't worry about it. Take your time.
Yeah, all right. So basically, this new girl, the sex is fine. There's nothing like wrong with it, but it's like after I finish, I'm just like, what am I doing? And that kind of goes away when I hang out with her. Then it's like kind of like a repeating cycle. This other girl, my ex, I'm usually, when it comes to sex, I have sex once a day and I'm good for the entire day. But with my ex, it was like a 3 times back to back, like crazy, never like that.
Why did you guys break up?
Yeah. She cheated on me. There's a long
Yeah, that's a
distance
good
kind
reason.
of thing.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's a good reason to break up. Oh, and this new girl, she's in your same town.
Yeah, probably like 2 miles away from me.
Okay. Look, see, good. There's something to be said about good enough. Now, this girl, the current one, right? She treats you right. She takes care of your dog. You know. By the way, is your dog male or female?
Male dog.
Okay, and is she and the dog likes this new girl.
Yeah.
And did he like the other girl?
You know what? She was so long distance that they never met.
Oh, okay. No, then
But
look, you're better off. You're better off with this chick. Okay. Yeah. So look, a sex life can be improved upon. Okay. You got to work at it. Okay. And you work at it, and um, you got to think of her as like a good, Miss Right Now. Okay. And what you do is just enjoy the relationship. Okay. Look, if she's treating you right, okay, and she does all this stuff for you, okay, she realizes that you're more high value than her, and so she's working to keep you, okay. So enjoy it, okay, and especially because this current girl, she's not going to cheat on you, okay. If she's cleaning your apartment and taking care of your dog, I'll tell you right now, she's never going to fucking cheat on you, okay. So what you do is you enjoy her, and keep on trucking and focus on your business and growing yourself, okay, because you've got a girlfriend, and so you can focus more on your business, your studies, whatever the fuck you're doing. What are you doing, by the way?
yeah. Sorry, you cut out a little bit at the end there.
Okay, what are you doing currently? Are you studying? Are you working? You got a business? What?
Right now, I am doing sales. I work around like 60 to 70 hours a week, and I'm trying to take classes in the fall.
Okay, this is what you should do with this current girl. Why don't you talk to her about your current situation? Talk to her about your current situation, and talk to her about that you're unhappy with your current situation, and you're not clear as to how to get out of this hole you're in. Okay, and see what she tells you, and see how she helps you out. Okay, because this other girl, the hot girl, cheated on you, right? She probably didn't give a shit about what you were doing in your life, right?
Yeah, I kind of felt that way. Like even going back to the dog, like I felt like she never really gave a shit about the dog.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's why I'm making it a point. But I do think
Yeah.
that there's a inherent value in like being kind of like whatever about this new girl, because it's like a big plus to me is that I'm not like constantly stressed out about it. I'm not constantly like worrying about keeping on to it, and
Yeah, exactly.
and it's great because this new one, she doesn't really care. She doesn't really care about like me like sitting down and being like, okay, you're my girlfriend, and ironically enough, the other one did. So
What do you mean? The other one cared about you calling her your girlfriend?
oh yeah, we had for like a month. It was like a big fight. Like, oh, like if you don't make me your girlfriend, I'm gonna be embarrassed if I like tell my friends about it and they
Oh,
ask
fuck that. It sounds like a fucking idiot. Okay. No. This girl that you got, she seems chill. She takes care of your dog. I know it sounds idiotic, okay? But it actually matters because it's indicative of the kind of person that she is. See? A girl who takes care of your mutt is probably a keeper in a lot of ways. She's definitely going to be a good person. Okay, basically. Okay, this is very important. A girl who treats your dog like shit or ignores the dog, which is even worse. Yeah, they're just selfish and they're all into themselves. Okay, so what you do is whatever problems you're having with your life, insofar as your work and stuff, why don't you bring them up with her and talk to her about them? The current girl, right? The girl who's like a 6 or a 7, right? Talk to her about your ambitions and your goals. And when you talk with her, try to figure them out and try to talk your way through to the goals that you want to achieve. As opposed to talking to me about them, you should talk to her. Because you'd be surprised, a girl like that, she'll probably have like some pretty good ideas of what you should do. And she'll probably, she will support you in a way that the first girl never would. And by the same fact that, you know, you're not stressed out with this girl, she'll support you in a non-stressful way. And you should take advantage of that. And, you know, don't be an asshole, do the same for her, right? But, I mean, listen to whatever shit she's got going and whatnot. But really start to lean more on her. And I bet that she carries more than her fair share of the load. Yeah, that's my suggestion. Okay, man?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I just kind of wondered, like, she's not. It's not like she's ugly. She's not fat. She's skinny, nice body, and everything like that. It's more along the how do I put it? Like after I finish having sex with her, I kind of get this doubt, and it's like all the time. It's just doubt, and then throughout the relationship, like throughout the day to day, like I'm at work, we talk on FaceTime, whatever, what have you. That's fine. That feels great. But immediately after sex, that's when the doubt kicks in. Any idea why that is?
Yeah, she's probably not ringing all of your sexual bells. You know? And it could be that you're just that she is not you don't find her sexually like totally compatible. Okay? And yeah, and on a personality level, on like a day-to-day living level, no problem. But like on a sex level, you have your doubts or misgivings or whatnot. Okay? And that's what's probably happening. Okay? It could also be, and I'm spitballing here, but I wouldn't be surprised. Sometimes guys can tell if a girl is actually infertile. Okay? It seems really weird and crazy, but it's kind of true. Okay? I don't know if it's ever happened to you that sort of like from a girl's smell, you can kind of like tell where she is on her menstrual cycle. Because I can't. Okay? I have terrible sense of smell. Okay? Because I don't know, about 12 years ago, 15 years ago now, I had a terrible cold. And after it, you know, like my sense of smell was diminished by like 80%. It's a really unhappy situation, to tell you the truth. But anyway, even after that, like I can kind of like smell a girl and tell where she is on her period. Okay? It could be that like the pheromones or whatever the fuck are fucking with you. Is she on the pill or does she have an IUD?
She actually just recently got an IUD last month. But I've been talking to her for about well actually I dated my ex for a year. I met her before my ex. I ghosted her for my ex, and my ex broke up and I got back with her. So she was kinda like the rebound chick too. Forgot to leave that detail out.
No, that's pretty obvious that she's the rebound chick. Okay? So look, just enjoy the situation. Okay? And focus on what your career and what you're doing and all that. You focus on that. And you know, make sure you don't get her pregnant, and lean on her more insofar as talking to her about your ambitions and goals. Okay, and see how that goes. But remember, see, at the end of the day, being with a woman is an irrational decision. Okay, in the sense of like, you know, you either really want to be with somebody or you're just not that keen on it. Okay, and if you're just not that keen on it, you know, either hang steady with this one until you find somebody better or actively go looking for somebody better. You know? Yeah. How old is she, by the way?
She is 23, I think.
Yeah.
23, 24.
Yeah.
But I think I might be just like ruining one of the. Sorry, what?
No, go ahead. You think you might be ruining what? Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
sorry, it's cutting off. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. You said that you were ruining something. You were ruining what?
I think I'm ruining one of the positives for it just by overthinking it, where like the whole benefit to this one is I don't have to overthink it or stress about it. And I think I'm kind of
I
being
think so too.
counterproductive right there.
I think so too. I think you should stop overthinking it so much and just like enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? Just enjoy it and just take it easy. Just relax, okay? And that's my thinking. Okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, hell yeah.
Really
Yeah,
helped me
no
out.
problem. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man. Take it easy. Okay, guys, I've been going for 3 hours and 40 minutes. So I'm going to call it a stream or call it a webinar or whatever, you know? Yeah. And so to the people that I couldn't get to, I'm sorry about that. And you'll notice that I tended to prioritize people who had never been on because I just wanted to get more people who are, just haven't been on. Yeah. So anyway, next week I'm going to have I'm not going to do another Ask Me Anything for at least 3 months, like I said at the beginning of this broadcast. But I don't know what I'll be talking about next week. Okay. Actually, you know what I'll do? Like on Wednesday, I'll post like something as to what ideas you'd like me to do. Okay. And yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll post that on Wednesday. And so along with the weekly post on Wednesday. And so, yeah. What else do I want to tell you guys? Oh, nothing much. Yeah. Holy shit. It's 9:45. So yeah, I got to book it. So I'll catch you guys next week. Take it easy.